Chapter 334. Soon after the voice sounded, from inside the perfectly manicured grass field, a navy blue tubular-shaped structure made of energy emerged. 3 people were sitting inside the structure. From the onlooker's point of view, it looked like a giant pill with 3 people sitting inside before a large table. On the left sat a red-haired man in his early 40s. He was neither too thin nor bulky. His cheerful smile showed his playful character. On the right side was another man who seemed to be in his early 60s. On the contrary to the red-haired man, this white-haired man had a solemn look on his slightly wrinkled face. Stuck between the two was a young girl in her mid-teens. She had dull orange eyes and her elbow-length, curly, pink hair was neatly braided. The commentator pill was etched with runes that amplified their voice throughout the arena. First of all, the championship tournament committee likes to convey our deepest apologies for the postponement, the red-haired man spoke in an apologetic tone. It's not as if we went on a trip, they all know about the void day. The committee needed to come up with some way to determine the competitor's cultivation level, the white-haired man said without hiding his over-the-head arrogance. Gentlemen, I think we first need to introduce ourselves, don't you think? The girl let out a playful giggle before talking. Ladies and gentle, we are your commentators, for both tournaments. I'm Ishihara Minako, I am James Hall, 2 times Royal Times Best Commentator Award winner, the cheery red-haired man said with a laugh. Everyone could sense the pride behind his laugh. I am Darius Russell, former swordmaster of Aragoth. The audience began to gasp when they heard the man. No one reacted the same way as they did for Russell as they did for James because the position of Swordmaster of Aragoth outclassed the Best Commentator award by miles. Moreover, anyone who got the Swordmaster title held a highly esteemed position in society as even the kings would show them respect. Hence the reason for Darius' pride. Now that we introduced ourselves, let's bring the battle stage up. Darius clapped his hands together. After the runes amplified the clapping sound to the entire arena, everyone heard a loud cracking noise emerging from inside the grass field. Many people stood up to look at the grass field. They saw the grass field split open in the middle. The 2 halves of the grass field slowly retracted sideways as a spacious circular stage emerged from within. In a couple of minutes, the lush green grass field was nowhere to be seen and replaced by a grayish round stage. The stage could easily hold 70 to 80 people without each of them feeling crowded. Before we move forward, let us explain the format of the competitions, Ishihara said in a playful voice. You ladies and gentlemen may already know, we have 2 championship tournaments. One for body strengthening stage cultivators and one for core formation stage cultivators. Both tournaments have the same format. Swordmaster Darius. James looked at Darius to explain the format as the Swordmaster began to talk in his serious voice. The tournaments have 6 rounds, the last 3 being quarter-final, semi-final, and grand finale respectively. 100 participants will start the tournament and fight in the first round. The second round will have 40 people, Darius said. You know what that means, ladies and gentle. Bye-bye for 60 youngsters after the first round. Hall chuckled as Darius continued, out of 40, only 20 will go to the third round. At the end of the third round, the judges will eliminate 10 participants based on points and votes. Darius paused for a moment to let Hall speak. Due to complications during the last couple of tournaments, the tournament committee decided not to disclose any information about the judges. The judges will be anonymous, so don't try to find them, or worse, bribe them. Everyone in the arena knew his words were directed to the powerful noble families. They were the ones who would try to bribe the judges to get the youngsters of their family closer to the championship titles. In the past, the tournament committee had to spend millions of gold coins to ensure the safety of the judges as well as the integrity of the tournaments. Some noble families had even tried to kill the judges who refused to take bribes from them. I'm sure nothing terrible will happen this year. Darius, please continue, Ishihara said. 10 youngsters will enter the quarterfinal. It'll be 5 versus 5. Among the 5 winners, 1 will be eliminated according to the points given by the judges, and worry not, although it'll be the end of one's journey, he or she will receive valuable treasures as a prize for reaching or surviving. Yet again, Hall finished his words with a chuckle. Semi-final will let only the best 2 enter the grand final. Darius finished explaining the format. The people let the information sink into their heads for a few moments before Ishihara broke the silence with her sweet melodic voice. now it's time to go over the rules. James, she turned her gaze towards James, as the name itself suggests. The participants for the body strengthening stage tournament must be at the body strengthening stage, while core formation stage participants must be at the core formation stage, James Hall explained as Darius continued. Anyone between the age of 10 to 23 can participate in the body strengthening stage tournament. Participants for the core formation stage tournament must be below the age of 30. We have arrays placed on the stage to determine one's age. If you're older than 30 and think you can participate with the help of a spell or potion, I recommend you not to unless you really want to end up like a cooked turkey, ha ha ha. A small portion of the onlookers laughed like he was kidding, but the rest of them knew he was serious, deadly serious. Well, not bore you with the rules for each round, it'll be more interesting to go over them before the starting of each round, boom. After James spoke, another loud booming sound reverberated the arena. The onlookers looked up at the sky to see several white-robed figures in pairs descending to the stage. Each pair was carrying a 6-foot mirror with a golden border. The closer the pairs got to the stage, the more the people could see the glowing runes on the mirrors. Unlike the runes, none of them were able to see the gears, nuts, and bolts behind the mirror. In a couple of minutes, the white-robed people brought 6 mirrors onto the stage. They gently placed the mirrors on the stage as the people tried to figure out the purpose of the mirrors. Participants for the body strengthening stage, please come to the stage and follow the instructions given by the coordinators. While the participants were getting ready to hop onto the stage, each pair of coordinators flicked their wrist as a 12 feet tall pillar beside the mirrors. The pillar was made of 10 black rocks. Each rock was separated by a thick silver lining that glowed in the light. The onlookers immediately became excited to see the young celebrities make their entrance. Can you give us a rundown on how this mirror works, Darius? I heard you were in the team that built these wonderful devices that gauge someone's cultivation level. Everyone looked at Darius after hearing James. I doubt the people will be interested in knowing how the bias law works with mirror-teen runes to produce a fusion effect. It seems like we have to settle for the short version, James chuckled. When a participant places his hand on the mirror, the runes will extract a sliver of arch energy from their body. The mechanism behind the mirror will work with the runes to analyze the sliver of arch energy and light up the pillar beside the mirror. As we can all see, each pillar has 10 separated rocks. I assume each of the rocks will represent a level of one's cultivation stage, Ishihara asked. Yes, the level goes from bottom to the top. For instance, if a body strengthening stage level 3 cultivator placed his hand on the mirror, the third rock from the bottom would glow in green. The beauty of this device is, it will not only show one's level but also show how pure the arch energy in his or her body. After Darius explained, many people gasped in startlement. The purer your arch energy is, the more powerful you are. If 2 cultivators on the same cultivation stage and level fought with the same spells, the victor will be decided by the arch energy purity, James Hall explained for the comments who had little knowledge about arch energy purity. The cultivators knew the importance of keeping their arch energy pure, as that was why nobles would go crazy for potions and pills that cleanse their bodies to make the arch energy in their body pure. Michael was making a fortune selling revitalizing pills that cleanse a cultivator's body. The purity of the arch energy was the one that separates a normal cultivator from a prodigy. This was also the reason many cultivators avoid eating meat in restaurants and prefer to keep their bodies satiated with only arch energy instead of food. The brightness of the glow will determine one's arch energy purity. Darius finished explaining how the mirror worked as Ishihara asked a question. What would happen if someone above the body strengthening stage touched the mirror? Instead of the pillar, the mirror will let out a bright red glow, and the one touched the mirror will be detained for processing. Believe me, you don't want to violate the rules set by the committee. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts, as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 335. After all the mirrors were set on the stage, the people heard yet another loud booming sound. Following the sound, the east side door on the ground level opened as several youngsters in armor started to walk out of the door. Each of them wore a different type and color of armor. The commonality between all of them was their posture. Their chests were puffed up, head held high with grins radiating pride and ego. The crowd, their cheering, and the atmosphere of the arena kindled the pride of even those who were usually modest. There he is, Evan Clark, Morning Star, Morning Star, Morning Star, Morning Star, Morning Star, Morning Star. The fans of Evan Clark and the Morningstar sect began to roar when they saw Evan Clark. Of course, there were disciples from other sects who were better than Evan in all ways. However, they were from the Azer continent and the arena was filled with people from Elon. The majority of the people knew little about the prodigies of Azer. Hence, it was the stars of Elon who received a big thunderous welcome from the crowd. After Evan, another celebrity disciple walked out of the door, making many onlookers gasp for air. Victoria Parker. The crowd erupted when Victoria in her silver armor made her entrance. Her charming beauty captivated the audience, even those who hated Golden Valley couldn't help drooling. Evan waved his hand at his fans, making them roar even louder. Victoria on the other hand didn't even look at the crowd as she made her way to the stairs leading to the stage. Where is Sabi? Sitting on the VIP balcony, Ethan searched the group of youngsters on the field to find his daughter. Sabrina was one of the few disciples who were competing in the tournament from a sect located in the Azer continent. Unlike the Elon continent, most of the Azer was plunged into chaos due to the ongoing war. The sects in Azer were siding with their allied kingdoms and sending disciples to the battlefield so they could get real battle experience as well as repel the kingdom's enemies. At this point in time, Michael was oblivious to the fact he's connected to the ongoing war. Although Sabrina wanted to win the tournament, the biggest reason for her to compete was Ghost. After Ghost saved her and her family, she had become somewhat of an admirer of Ghost. She wanted to learn more about the man who saved her and her mother in a single day. Every time she wanted to meet him, he was either in seclusion or somewhere else no one had any idea about. She didn't know what, but something made her feel closer to Ghost even though she knew little about him. Whoa, is that Sabrina Winston? Shut up, it can't be, look there. It's her, Noah Winston's little sister. If she's here, then the Holy Trident Academy is too. Sabrina. 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 The people of Kethen, especially those from Penn Town, roared as their cheers for Sabrina shook the arena. The sheer support for Sabrina startled even the Winston family. Our little girl has grown, a tear of joy and pride rolled out of Imelda's eyes. They all felt proud of Sabrina. It seems like we have a great competition ahead, Darius, James Hall said. I think so too. I want to see what these youngsters can do with swords. Since Darius was a sword master, he was more interested in seeing the youngsters' sword mastery. So many young talents. I wish I was there with them, Ishihara said. All right, participants, please go to the stage in an orderly manner and follow the instructions given by the coordinators, James said as the youngsters stopped waving at their fans to reach the stage. Many rushed to the stage excitedly. Some even landed on the stage directly with a leap instead of climbing the stairs. Victoria Parker seems to be the first person to touch the mirror. Let's see what happens, as Ishihara commented. Victoria gracefully walked towards the mirror. Everyone else stood there watching her. Please place your hand on the mirror, miss, the man standing beside the mirror instructed. Victoria wasn't worried about the device like many others. The onlookers came to the edge of their seats to see the device working. A few seconds after Victoria placed her right palm on the mirror slightly trembled. Under their gazes, the bottom rock of the pillar glowed in green for a second before the second one started to glow. One by one the rocks let out a bright green glow until the glow reached the 8th rock from the bottom. Body strengthening stage level 8, the coordinator beside the mirror said. Whoa, she's so young, a real prodigy. She was a body refining stage cultivator just a year ago. Look how brighter the rocks are glowing. Her arch energy purity must be next level shit. The Golden Valley must be proud to have such a talented youngster among them. What do you think, Darius? James Hall asked. His voice didn't hide his surprise. Her arch energy seems to be purer than many cultivators we tested. But purity isn't everything when it comes to real battle, and this tournament will be a test for her. Darius expressed his opinion as Evan walked towards another mirror. Please place your hand on the mirror, master, the coordinator said calmly, showing no emotion on his face or voice. Just as before, a few seconds after Evan placed his hand on the mirror slightly trembled. Soon afterward, the pillars lit up to the 8th rock just like Victoria's. The brightness was also just the same as Victoria's. It indicated that the two of them were at the same level. Yet another body strengthening stage level 8, Evan Clark of Morningstar. It seems we have two cultivators with no advantages over another, Ishihara said. It will boil down to the arsenal of spells they have, and I doubt Golden Valley or Morningstay would bring them here with some run-of-the-mill spells. Evan and Victoria proudly stood aside watching the rest of them getting tested by the mirrors. One by one the youngsters placed their hands on the mirror. Except for a few, many hadn't reached body strengthening stage level 8. The majority of them were between level 4 to level 6. Those who crossed level 8 didn't get the same reaction from the audience as Evan and Victoria did because of their purity. None of them were able to make the rocks glow as bright as Victoria and Evan. After seeing almost 50 youngsters trying to beat Evan and Victoria, all the eyes fell on Sabrina. Finally, Ethan leaned forward to see his daughter climb the stairs to the stage. The entire arena became silent. They all watched Sabrina like hawks. Please place your hand on the mirror, Miss. Sabrina placed her hand gently on the mirror after nodding at the coordinator. The moment her hand touched the mirror, it trembled more than it trembled when Victoria or Evan touched. In a blink of an eye, the pillar lit up like a Christmas tree all the way to the 7th stone. Although she did not reach the 8th stone as Victoria or even, the brightness the stones let out was 3 times more than them. Body strengthening stage level 7, the coordinator confirmed. That's the brightest glow I've seen today. James Hall raised his brows. She's the youngest to get into the Holy Trident Academy for a reason. Ishihara's words caused murmurs among the fans. The pillar is an indicator she has a bright future ahead of her. Even Darius, who couldn't be easily amazed, was startled. The Winston family is really blessed to have such monstrous prodigies as their heirs. Ethan could see James Hall looking at them. I bet Miss Sabrina's parents are really proud. For a few moments, the commentators sounded like fans of Sabrina. Victoria had black lines on her forehead seeing Sabrina taking away her spotlight. We are. Diana turned her head to see Imelda staring at the stage with tears flowing out of her eyes. Not even Diana shed tears of pride and joy, but Imelda did. We are proud of you, Sabrina. 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 The people of Penn Town began to chant in unison. Their thunderous cheers did not slow down until a few youngsters finished testing their cultivation level. An hour passed by in a blink of an eye. Well, take a short break before testing the core formation participants. The trio of commentators left their pill to take a break while the participants remained on the stage to socialize. Many wanted to establish a friendship with Sabrina, but she quickly left the stage to join her family. Meanwhile, in Sarton, Michael was waiting in Lord Information's room patiently. He kept gently brushing Nightmare's head as the dragon enjoyed the rub with his eyes closed. Michael watched the door beside the book rack, expecting the elf to walk out of there with what he asked. Here you go, Lord Ghost. As he was expecting, Lord Information came out of the door carrying a thick book. You happen to have a book containing information about the recent events. When Michael asked Lord Information for information regarding everything that's happening in this world, he thought the elf would sell him a bunch of parchments. He never expected a 6-inch thick book. You'd be surprised to know how many people want to know the current happenings. Lord Information slid the book towards Michael. As you asked, it has everything, including insider information, rumors, and juicy tidbits that you might find useful. With a nod, Michael flicked his wrist as a space ring appeared on the table. 100,000 gold coins. It's a pleasure doing business with you. Michael shook the elf's hand before turning to leave. Lord Ghost. Michael turned back hearing Lord Information's voice. The thing I asked, it might happen soon after the tournament ends. Lord Information seemed rather serious. I'm looking forward to it. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 336. Although the commentators announced a short break, only a few left their seats. As each minute passed by, Ethan couldn't sit still. He was biting his nails when Imelda called him out. Ethan, are you all right? You seem shaky. Diana squeezed Ethan's hand to calm him down. Unlike her, this was his first time meeting his son. Do you see him anywhere? He asked, leaning closer to Diana's ear. No, what do you mean no? You said he will come. Ethan almost shook her by her shoulder in lack of patience. No one said otherwise. You just need to be a little more patient, Ethan. Diana calmed him down. He nodded but kept searching for the people of the Sunrise sect. It didn't even take him more than 2 minutes before he saw an entire pavilion of people wearing black clothes on the opposite side of where the VIP balcony was located. Since the arena was built in a circular shape, one could see almost everyone in the arena. Ethan would have noticed them earlier if it wasn't for Claire's orders not to cause a ruckus until they start the core formation tournament to the people of Rivertown and Sunrise sect. Because of her orders, they remained, not causing any commotion. An entire pavilion containing at least 1,500 seats was filled with ardent worshippers of the Ghost and Sunrise sect. An entire town was here to show their support to Ghost. No one had the support like Ghost had. Suddenly Imelda shouted as everyone sitting near her turned their gazes at Imelda to see a golden monkey bouncing on her head. Norvin, you almost gave me a heart attack. Imelda grabbed Norvin off her head to see the monkey grinning in the joy of pranking her. Get away from her, you damn monkey. Diana saw Alicia walking towards them with Maisie. Fergus, move your butt over there. Imelda chased away a 10-year-old kid who was chugging his juice box back to his parents. Alicia sat beside Imelda as Norvin leisurely laid on Imelda's lap. Where's Noah and Andrews? Diana looked at the way Alicia came to find Noah and Andrews, yet she didn't see them. Maisie didn't look for empty seats as she hopped onto Diana's lap. The little girl was so cute as Diana wrapped her hands around the little teddy bear to cuddle. Andrews is down there. By looking at the worried look on Alicia's face, they sighed. It seemed like Andrews wasn't backing down from competing in the tournament. Has he reached the core formation stage? Imelda whispered as Ethan leaned closer in his seat. Yes, Alicia said. Is he all right? If the committee has found something amiss with his cultivation stage, we are toast. Ethan worried about Andrews. The last time he met Andrews, he was still at body strengthening stage level 3. Even Noah just reached the core formation stage, and Noah was a freak of nature. Noah took care of everything, uncle. Andrews is at the core formation stage now. He will suffer no side effects as you may think except for headache and feebleness for a couple of weeks. How did he do it? I'll explain everything later, Auntie. Alicia interjected Imelda's question. She didn't want to explain everything to them while people were watching them. What Noah and she did was cheat. Although Noah wasn't happy about this, he had to do it for the sake of his cousin. Is your brother with Andrews? Diana asked. The correct question would be, will he fight Andrews if push comes to shove? Everyone was thinking about it, but it was Norvin who spoke out loud. It's gonna be a good show as your brother doesn't like to lose and Andrews can't lose. Alicia had no answer to give. She knew about her brother's character. As far as she could guess, there was no chance he would lose to Andrews intentionally. However, Noah made sure Andrews had a high chance to win the tournament by striking a deal with a fusion stage cultivator, Layla Alden. Ding! 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 As they were whispering, 3 loud bell sounds reverberated the arena. The muttering of the crowd was silenced down by the bells. Soon, those who went to answer nature's call came rushing to their seats. The break's over, ladies and gentlemen, Ishihara chuckled in her melodious voice. Now it's time for the core formation stage participants to wow us, finally. Yes. Ho ho ho. Almost the entire arena erupted, letting out their thunderous cheers. Compared to the body strengthening stage tournament, the core formation tournament was the one everyone's more hyped out for. It was because there were many mini tournaments and competitions for body strengthening stage cultivators, but this was one of the very few tournaments there are for core formation stage cultivators. Celebrity disciples like Selena or Alex rarely appeared in public events. Not these two, but most of the core formation disciples tend to stay within their sect or in seclusion. The crowd constantly looked up towards the skies and the field down eagerly to see the celebrity disciples. As they were waiting eagerly, time slowly flowed by. Just as the sun had reached the middle of the sky, from the distant horizon, the clasp of thunder suddenly rumbled forth. Just as the sound of wind rang out, everyone looked up in the direction the sound came. Cultivators like Ethan could feel that all arch energy surrounding the arena was now slowly gravitating towards that direction. In the sky, they saw a bright blue flash streaking through the skies like a shooting star, descending from the heavens. The streak of blue light tore through the sky like it was a piece of cloth. The streak of light was at least 20 times brighter and bigger than the bolts of golden lightning produced by the lightning dash spell. When that blue flash appeared on the edges of the horizon, everyone in the arena stared at it dumbstruck. Many people were amazed by the display. That's a flashy entrance. I wonder who that might be. The commentators were no different than the onlookers. They too looked at the sky with wide eyes. Under the numerous curious gazes, the blue flash broke through the skies at a ferocious speed. As the flash approached, the crowd was shocked to discover that the blue flash was actually a giant sword made purely out of arch energy. The sword flew at the speed of a jet, leaving a trail of blue light. The closer the sword got to the arena, the louder the people heard the whistling sound the sword produced. While the giant sword was slowing down, the crowd's gazes immediately fell on the figure standing atop the sword. Clothed in silver armor matching his hair with his hands behind his back. His shiny silver long hair drifted in the wind, he appeared to be extremely calm and relaxed. A look that subdued many of the competitors. The set of armor he was wearing attracted the gazes like a magnet. The armor was forged using a glimmering silver metal. The smith who forged the armor used gold to adorn the borders. The shoulder plates were pointy, quite narrow, and large. They were decorated with a star-shaped, thick, metal ornament piece. The upper arms were protected by rounded, half-covering rear braces which sat loosely under the shoulder plates. The lower arms were covered by vambraces which have several masterfully crafted metal sheets, shaped like dragon scales on the outer sides. The breastplate was made from many layers of smaller metal pieces, mimicking the scales of a dragon. The armor covered him from neck to feet, protecting every inch of his body. Atop the sword, the youngster slightly tilted his head down as his calm gaze swept over the arena below. He then withdrew his gaze, because there was nothing worthy of his attention in that place. Big brother Alex Fisher has arrived. Suddenly the fans of Morningstar cried out in joy, excitement, and pride filled their eyes. If I'm right, conjuring a sword that size would require an extreme level of mastery in controlling arch energy, the level of mastery even the soul-refining stage cultivators lack, Darius said to James Hall. Alicia's eyes stared unblinkingly at Alex Fisher, who stood atop the sword while looking down at the arena. From the latter's gaze, she could see how little Alex thought of people below, or perhaps, it might be a type of disregard. As annoyed as she was, she knew with his strength, he did seem to possess the right to look down on people. Based on Alex's composure alone, many could not help but admit that he was indeed a rarely seen prodigy. What do you think of Alex's cultivation level, guys? Ishihara asked while Alex was floating in the sky. Definitely higher than level 5, James Hall answered. My guess would be level 8. Darius shocked the crowd with his answer. Reaching core formation level 8 at the age of 28 was a humongous feat among humans. You always like to make a flashy appearance, don't you, Alex? While the crowd was in awe of Alex, a burst of hearty thunder-like voice suddenly rumbled from the horizon. The crowd watched as a golden ray streaked across the skies, radiating a powerful aura. The golden light broke through the skies, causing the arch energy to surge, as it finally came to float in the horizon, transforming into a huge golden spear that was 12 meters long. Atop the spear stood a figure in gold armor with blonde long hair that draped over his shoulders. A domineering aura soared into the skies as if it was a unique wild spear that towered over the land. The youngster wore extravagant golden armor. The shoulders were fairly oval, quite short and small in size, decorated with a metal dragon wing on each side, curved to the sides. The upper arms were protected by squared, half-covering rear braces which sit quite well under the shoulder plates. The lower arms were covered by vambraces which have a row of hook-like barbs attached to each outer side. The chest plate was made from one large piece of metal but crafted to mimic the appearance of muscles. The golden armor looked sturdier than the armor Alex was wearing. The crowd stared at the figure in gold standing atop the golden spear, as envious looks were revealed on many of their faces, but none of them seemed to recognize the person as they did with Alex. Who is that? He seems just as powerful as Alex Fisher. I don't know. I have never seen him before. Let's wait for the commentators. I'm sure they will know who he is. The crowd was thrown into confusion as the sound of people murmuring among themselves grew louder and louder. Aren't you gonna wave at your brother Alicia? Norvin asked, looking at the youngster in the golden armor. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts, as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 337, That's Your Brother Peter? Ethan raised his brows. He was surprised. After engaging Alicia to Noah, the Winston family had met everyone in the Stone family except Alicia's mysterious elder brother. None of the Winstons met Peter except Noah until now. Standing 6'1" inch tall, Peter had smooth fair skin. If Alex was calm, Peter radiated an aura of confidence around him. A particularly notable feature was his perfect jawline. Coupled with his hazel eyes, sharp eyebrows, and clean-shaven look, he looked stunning. His medium-length golden hair danced in the wind, raising many young girls' heartbeats. I never thought you would come here, Peter. Unlike the people in the arena, Alex knew who he was. In fact, Peter was one of the few youngsters Alex respected and looked forward to battle. What can I say? Boredom always gets the better of me, Peter shrugged. Pretty good spear you have. Is that an epic weapon? Upon hearing these words, many of them gasped in shock. They already knew that weapons, armors, and spells were divided into 5 categories: common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary. Alex's armor belonged to the rare class while Peter's spear belonged to the epic class. Even the 3 big sects had only a few epic class weapons. Alex heard rumors, but seeing a rogue cultivator like Peter having an epic class weapon surprised him. Your brother has an epic weapon, Ethan bitterly laughed in his heart. He couldn't help thinking about Ghost. He doubted his son had ever gotten a chance to touch an epic weapon. Although he supported Andrews, deep down Ethan wanted his son to win the tournament. What they did to Ghost was unforgivable, yet Ethan would do anything to win back Ghost's love. Since Noah was born, Ethan provided Noah the best while his other son grew up enduring hardships a child like him shouldn't have. Before Diana dropped the news about his other son on him, Ethan used to sleep. Nowadays, the nightmares kept him awake. Therefore, he was cultivating with full focus to get stronger. He lost his son once because of Skyhall, but he would never let that happen again. We both know the class of the weapon doesn't matter, Peter calmly said. It's the wielder of the weapon who does. Just as Peter's words faded, yet another soft chuckle slowly sounded out from the horizon. Soon after, a flash of bright green light swept over from the horizon. In a blink of an eye, a trail of green light streaked across the sky. When the green light filled the skies, the crowd swiftly cast their gazes over, only to find a majestic eagle which was dozens of meters large. It flapped its wings as it floated in the skies. An extremely formidable aura swept forth from within the eagle. A youngster wearing leather armor unlike Alex and Peter lightly smiled as he stood atop the eagle. His face was bewitchingly handsome, such that in terms of looks, even Peter was inferior. He held a deep blue fan in his hand, as he slowly fanned himself while giving off a graceful aura of nobility. Who is he? The third son of Oswin family. After hearing Alicia's words, Ethan once again silently nodded his head. According to the rumors, House Kane and House Fisher were trying to forge an alliance with House Oswin through marriage. Ethan's sources were saying House Fisher is closer to sealing the deal by marrying one of the heirs of Oswin to Alex. If the alliance went through, House Fisher would become the strongest family in royal land. Coupled with Selena's family, House Fisher was on the path of domination. That's a yellow-beak king eagle. James Hall was stunned to see such a majestic creature. Not only him, but most of the people were also. Yellow-beak eagles were almost as rare as dragons. Andrew's chance of winning getting less and less. Alicia rolled her eyes. After seeing what Layla could do, she really doubted anyone had the chance to defeat Andrews, not her brother, not anyone. Every single spell in Andrew's arsenal was enhanced by Lele Angel's Vina, which meant Andrews had the attack power of a fusion stage cultivator. Alicia could feel Layla is somewhere in the arena. She didn't know where, but she could feel her presence. Paul, to think that a busy guy like you would also join in the fun here. Heh, you've even bought your Oswan's pride, the yellow-beaked King Eagle, Alex as he shot a glance at Paul. I can spare a day or two. I'm pretty sure the marriage works won't come to a halt without me. Paul waved the deep blue fan in his hand and smiled slightly. Alex had a sly grin while Peter seemed to care less about the marriage between the two families. While these three were floating in the air, many core formation participants made their way towards the stage. Let's get this over with, Peter said, looking down on the stage to see the stage was getting crowded. You go ahead, I still need to wait for one more person. Alex casually smiled and said. Your girlfriend? Where is she? Sorry I'm late. As Paul's voice faded, a gentle voice suddenly sounded out across the skies. That voice had a certain charm to it. Immediately, an intoxicated look appeared in the eyes of several people below. Such a beautiful girl. Many youths' minds were likewise momentarily dazed when the spirited voice sounded out. However, they quickly regained their senses, as amazement filled their eyes. Hastily lifting his head, Ethan saw a golden light sweep across the skies from a distance away before finally transforming into swirling chakra. Atop the golden chakra was a wonderfully curved figure. Her brown hair glimmered, reflecting the sunlight as the red cap she wore fluted in the wind. She wore armor that made her look both formidable and sexy at the same time. Although her armor wasn't revealing, there were still some places such as the neck, a small portion of her shoulders left out by the armor, showing her smooth silky skin. She slowly floated towards Alex standing atop the chakra before landing a gentle kiss on his cheek. Many became envious of Alex, they wanted to be him at this moment. He had everything many people yearned for: money, talent, a perfect angelic beauty as his girlfriend. Even those who hate Alex couldn't help being jealous of his life. With his arm wrapped around Selena's slim waist, he moved towards the stage. It's gonna be worth the wait to see these monstrous youngsters fight to prove who is the best among them. James Hall laughed with excitement. Just like before, follow the instructions given by the coordinators and you're good to go, Darius informed the core formation stage youngsters. Any one of the participants could have touched the mirror while Alex's group descended to the stage, yet they waited for the four of them. Ladies first, Alex gestured at Selena to touch the mirror standing a meter in front of the mirror. Every pair of eyes in the arena stared at them without blinking. Even the commenters went silent as they found no words to speak due to the excitement building in their heart. With a graceful move, Selena placed her hand on the mirror. The moment her hand touched the mirror trembled more than it ever trembled before. Half of the pillar lit up like a Christmas tree. The green glow the pillar radiated lit up half the stage. It was so much brighter than Victoria's or even Sabrina's. Core formation stage level 5. Amazing. Ishihara let out a squeal of amazement before even the coordinators could confirm Selena's cultivation level. Reaching level 5 of the core formation stage at the age of 26 is nothing but a world-wowing achievement, James Hall announced as the crowd was thrown into chaos. Several gasping sounds could be heard in the arena as they stared at Selena with widened eyes. While they were in a state of shock, Alex placed his palm on the mirror, immediately lighting up the pillar up to 7th stone. Even Alicia was stunned by Alex's cultivation level and the bright glow the stones radiated. Core formation stage level 7, this is freaking me out, guys, James Hall connected. It seems like we have prodigies that could go head to head with prodigies of our. Darius sounded proud. Truth to be told, guys, I've never seen anyone reach the level their two youngsters reach until they were way past 30, Ishihara said. That's why I said this tournament is something special. Let's see what this youngster could do, James Hall talked, looking at Peter walking towards the mirror. Alicia leaned forward to witness her brother's cultivation level. She was pretty. He's at the level of Alex despite her brother always liked to keep everything to himself. More than anything, he loved the privacy. Because of his habit, he even avoided attending her engagement. The moment Peter's hand touched the mirror, the pillar lit up to the 6th stone, and never seen before, half of the 7th stone glowed dimly. Up to the 6th stone though, the pillar shone just as brighter as when Alex touched the mirror. "Whoa, Alicia, your brother is a prodigy too." Imelda's brows arched up. Everyone kinda expected Alex to amaze them, but they never even heard about Peter before. Hence when Peter showed his cultivation power through the pillar, it stirred more commotion than before. Alex knew although Peter fell one level lower than him, the armor and the spear in Peter's hand would make up for the difference. After Selena, Alex, and Peter, the other participants waited for Paul. Like the others before, Paul too stunned the audience with his core formation stage level 6 cultivation level. "Do you see him anywhere?" Ethan started to lose his patience as he asked, whispering in Diana's ear. "No, but he will come, just be patient for a little longer." Diana began to fear something might have happened to him. The threat of Reapers was still lingering above Ghost's head like a dark cloud after all. One by one the core formation participants proved their cultivation level to the people. None of the participants touched the mirror after the initial 4 impressed the crowd as the first 4 did. Is this gonna demotivate the other participants? I mean, after the first 4, no one has crossed core formation level 4. Can it affect the mindset of the participants in any way? Well, it shouldn't. The tournament is designed to give all participants at the body strengthening stage and core formation stage a fair chance despite the level differences. Another core formation level 3, Ishihara announced as Darius continued. The first 2 rounds test someone's combat skills. The participants are prohibited to use arch energy. So even if you are a level 10 warrior, if you solely depend on your spells and not on your combat skills, you will be eliminated. Merry Christmas, everyone. Christmas is a season of enjoying the simple things that make life beautiful. May you have great memories that will permanently touch your heart. I wish you so much joy during this season and all through to the new year. Michael will make his appearance in These chapters are longer than what I usually write because I didn't want you to spend your time and coins reading chapters with no MC. But it will be worth the wait, trust me. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 338. An hour and a half passed by in a blink of an eye. Even though nothing interesting happened, the audience was on the edge of their seats looking at the participants touch the mirrors one by one. Some of them bet whether or not someone would cross Alex's cultivation level. Among one of those who touched the mirror was Andrews. He didn't draw much attention to himself as he was only at the core formation level 2. Many tried to establish a friendship with Andrews because of his family status, yet Andrews politely ignored them with a smile before joining Sabrina, who was standing on the grass field with the rest of the body strengthening participants. They were watching what's happening on the stage via the large mirror attached to high poles around the arena. Except for the pavilion where the Sunrise sect disciples and the Rivertown people were sitting, the others poured their excitement out by waving the boards that had their favorite participants' name on, screaming chants, and clapping their hands, producing thunderous sounds. Ethan was shaking his legs, looking at the sky as well as the pavilion of the Sunrise sect. "Uncle, are you all right?" Seeing Ethan's act differently than usual, Alicia asked. "Yeah, I'm fine. Are you all right?" Ethan quickly avoided her gaze, answering Alicia's question with a question. "The last participant is walking towards the mirror. Let's see if he could surpass either of the first 4-inch." Diana's body jerked after hearing Ishihara. She turned her gaze towards the horizon as she started to pray for her son to appear. Core formation level 3. Don't be discouraged, participants. As Darius said, the tournament is designed to give everyone a fair chance. Being on that stage proves your talent and value. Now let's move on to inviting the special guests. As Ishihara said, she flicked her wrist as a thunderous clap reverberated through the arena. It immediately silenced all the ruckus. The grass field behind the commentators' pills once again split open as a lavish stage draped in red silk clothes emerged from the ground. The stage had several ornate cushioned seats that would make the seats of VIPs pale in comparison. Soon after the stage emerged from the ground, several figures along with 2 golden chariots appeared on the horizon. The Pegasi attached to the chariots flapped their wings majestically. Among the figures surrounding the chariots, half of them wore full-plate metal armor while the rest of them wore muddy brown leather armor with long staffs in their hands. The metal armor the figures wore was milky white with delicate designs etched onto it. Let us give our warm welcome to His Majesty, King of Breedia, Crawford Breedia III, and Her Royal Highness, Princess of Breedia, Catherine Breedia." As Ishihara and James Hall announced respectively, the chariot came to a halt adjacent to the stage. The people stared at the two figures gracefully stepping on the stage from the chariot. King Crawford was neither too tall nor short. He was a medium-built middle-aged man with a black goatee that had patches of white hair. His hair was cropped to neck length. Perhaps it was his age, or perhaps it was the pressure of ruling a kingdom, streaks of white hair sticking out of his raven-black hair. He wore a well-embellished red tunic with gold-work thread as a basic dress. On top of it was a surcoat that depicted the emblem of the Breedia family. His dress was made with the finest silk, fur, and other expensive materials such as animal furs. In his hand, he held a scepter that was decorated with precious shiny gems and diamonds. It was decorated just as the king's crown was. The sword hanging on his waist gave off a warrior feeling about the king. The princess also wore a red skirt made of finest silk and fur. From neck to toe, the dress was ornate with pearls, specks of gold, and tiny gems. Her golden hair was draped with a diamond chair. She wasn't as beautiful as Selena, Alicia, or Sabrina by any means, but she had a grace that the above three did not have. Of course, coupled with her grace, she would make any man yearn for her attention, even for a single glance from her. Hail King Breedia! Hail Princess! Long live the king! Long live the princess! Since life in Breedia wasn't dreadful, the people, especially the commoners, didn't mind showing their support for the king and princess by cheering for them. Both the princess and the king gracefully waved their hands at the crows as the cheers became louder than before. The thunderous response put a slight smile on the king's face. Following the king's chariot, the other one also came to a halt adjacent to the stage. One after another, three figures stepped onto the stage from the chariot. One of them was a blue-haired youngster in his teens. He had a feminine feel to him due to his gait and the makeup he wore. His robes glimmered while the designs of flames made him look like he's on fire. It's an honor to welcome the representative of Kingdom Thusia, Lord Calvin Howard, the second cousin of His Majesty, King of Thusia, Maxim Barnes. Calvin waved his hand at the people with a giggle. After Calvin, a middle-aged man in his early 40s wearing lavish bright orange robes that were adorned with glistening gems and diamonds. The tournament committee thank you, Your Grace, Duke of Flamefair of Kingdom Kethen, Avon Jilks, for representing Kingdom Kethen on the behalf of His Majesty, King of Kethen, Porter Forbes. Duke Avon was a red-haired man in his early 40s. The scar running across his left eye to upper lip gave him a villainous look. Instead of wearing an eye patch to cover his left eye, he chose to show his white eye. With his red hair flutter in the wind, he just nodded at the commentators before standing beside Calvin. "What's that bastard doing here?" Ethan clenched his fist, almost punching the seat's handle. For the last 6 months, the Duchy of Pentown and the Duchy of Flamefair were at war. It has caused them thousands of lives. Duke Marvin of Pentown was prepared for peace talks, except Duke Avon was adamant about continuing the war. As the Duke was standing here, there were soldiers dying at the border. The third and the last figure that stepped onto the stage was a muscular macho man with a handlebar mustache. Despite his simple robes and tousled hair, he had a swagger that none of them in the arena had. Evan Ethan paled in manliness compared to the man. "It's an honor to welcome you, Lord Ashton Kane of Kane family." When addressing Ashton, Darius sounded so humble as he never did before. "It's really an honor to have you with us, Lord Ashton. Only on days like this, we can see a fusion stage cultivator with our eyes. It's truly a blessing." James didn't sound like he was just saying these words to butter up Ashton, but really seemed to be talking from his heart. His reaction was expected because seeing a fusion stage cultivator was once in a lifetime opportunity for most of the cultivators unless they were at the fusion stage themselves. "The pleasure is all mine." Ashton's voice was amplified by his celestial energy as it sounded clearer and louder than the voice of the commentators. The voice swept over the entire arena like a tsunami wave, giving them goosebumps. Except for Alex and Peter, all the youngsters looked at Ashton with eyes full of admiration. After shaking each other's hands, the guests took their seats. "Shall we start the first round for the body strengthening stage participants?" The crowd yet again let out thunderous shouts of excitement except the fans of Ghost. "Look over there!" Suddenly the entire pavilion jumped up from their seats pointing at the horizon. Their shouts overshadowed the others' cheers as everyone in the arena looked at the horizon. With a flick of his wrist, Ashton changed the scenery of the stage, showing on the mirrors hung around the arena to broadcast the battles happening on the stage. The moment Ashton changed the broadcast, the people saw a majestic crimson-red dragon flying towards the arena. On top of the arena, they saw a young man leisurely lying down, legs crossed at knees. He had one hand behind his head while holding a book in front of him in the other. "Ghost! Ghost!" Never like before, an entire pavilion shouted the name Ghost in unison. It was the loudest cheer no one until now received, not Alex, not Selena, and not even the king of Breedia himself. Every other disciple had their sect brothers and sisters as their fans, they were just fans. But only Michael had the sect and an entire town as worshippers. The atmosphere of the arena made everyone feel goosebumps over their bodies. None of the people in the arena blinked their eyes as they stared at the mirror and the dragon approaching the arena. His entrance was not as flashy as Alex, Selena, or Peter, but coupled with the thunderous response he got from the Sunrise sect, Rivertown, and the coolness of his posture turned his entrance into a badass one. When the dragon reached the sky directly above the stage filled with core formation participants, instead of descending, it flapped its wings before flying straight up. Michael slowly slid down due to the gravity, and in a few moments, he was dropping down. His black coat fluttered wildly in the air while Michael calmly closed the book in his hand in the mid-air before putting it into his space ring. The people were staring at his fall with their mouths wide open. He was still falling when Michael retrieved his two swords from the system storage. Everyone expected him to sheath his sword in the mid-air, but to their surprise, he threw the sword into the sky above him. His falling speed increased with each passing second as he soared down the air like a black meteor. People moved their heads down, seeing him getting closer and closer to the stage. The participants occupying the center of the stage quickly moved away to make way for him to land. In a few blinks of an eye, Michael landed on the stage like Superman. Inside Michael's head, the sound of badass point notification kept ringing like crazy as he willed the system to mute the sound. It was raining badass points. He stood up, giving a little shake to correct his long coat. Swoosh! Swoosh! Just as he stood up, the two swords he threw in the air flew straight down, leaving a trail of sparks in their way. Many gasped in shock when they saw the two swords going straight into the sheaths on Michael's back. It was unbelievable in their eyes. Even those who weren't a fan of Ghost couldn't help cheering. At the moment, almost 80% of the people in the arena were letting out thunderous cheers, and the remaining were too stunned to open their mouths. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts, as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 339. Under the thunderous cheers of his fans, Michael made his way towards a mirror. The commentators remained speechless, letting the crowd cheer as loud as they could. They didn't need to introduce him, the fans did that task for them. Coincidentally, Alex and Selena were standing beside the mirror while Peter was a few meters ahead of the mirror Michael was walking towards. Peter had an indifferent look on his face. Michael ignored the gazes on him. "Honestly, I never expected to see a 5-star alchemist here," James Hall said after being silent for some time. "Yeah, the alchemists I know are pretty focused on the upcoming alchemy championship, and none of them are here to participate in a tournament for warriors," Ishihara said while Michael was walking towards the mirror. The cheers were still going thunderous, yet the commentators' voices reached everyone's ears with the help of special runes crystal clear. Despite being late, Michael wasn't in a rush to get his cultivation tested. Thanks to the spider on Cindy's neck, he had seen everything and was ready to rock the arena. Standing a meter away from the mirror, Michael saw Selena coldly looking at him. Alex seemed surprised, but he hid his expression well, putting an indifferent look on his face like Peter. "I will make you pay." Before Michael could touch the mirror, Selena coldly said. Only those standing near them heard her voice, only to be startled by her threat. They stared at Michael with wide eyes, wondering what he did to deserve Selena's threat. Are you sure? Michael snickered as he put his hand on the mirror. The moment he put his hand on the mirror, the entire arena stopped cheering. The excitement prevented them from uttering a word. Unlike never before, the mirror Michael touched violently trembled. Those who stood closer to the mirror even heard the mirror producing a faint whistling noise. The coordinates immediately grabbed the mirror by its both sides to keep it still as the entire pillar beside the mirror lit up like a Christmas tree. There wasn't a single spot that didn't glow in the pillar. From top to bottom, the pillar radiated bright sparkling green light. Oh my God! It can't be! Level 10, several gasps could be heard in the arena. In the VIP area, Ethan stared at Michael without even batting an eye. He felt a cocktail of emotions surging from deep within: joy, sorrow, pride, self-blame, and shame. That is my son, Ethan mumbled under his breath. The teensy bit he had about Ghost being his son was wiped away from his mind when he saw him. Ghost looked exactly like Diana when she was Harriet Hunt. The black dress, 2 black swords, the swag, the attitude, everything about Ghost reminded him of Harriet Hunt. Core formation level 10, guys, are you seeing this? Ishihara almost shouted in shock. No one remained calm or indifferent looking at the glowing pillar. The badass points were rapidly increasing, crossing 300,000 points. Ashton's lips curved upwards as he knew the odds of Alex getting killed by Michael's hands just increased out of bounds. The king on the other hand slightly leaned forward, focusing all his attention on Ghost. If my guess is right, he can break through to the core strengthening stage anytime he wants. Darius' words sent a wave of shock to everyone's minds. Reaching core formation level 7 at the age of 27 was a humongous thing in their minds. Hence, they couldn't even believe what they were looking at. How old is he? James Hall's eyes opened as wide as they possibly could. His eyes looked like they were about to jump out of the sockets. Whoosh! As James Hall's question made everyone wonder about Michael's age, Nightmare came straight down soaring through the sky. Nightmare shrunk his size before letting out his dragon breath up in the sky. Everyone became agitated seeing the dragon breathe as the soldiers on the king's stage immediately stepped forward to protect the king. Soon, Nightmare's dragon flame formed the number 21 in the sky. Do you think the dragon is answering my question? James Hall asked. I think so. Let's ask his sect leader herself. Ishihara moved her gaze from the flaming 21 from the sky to Claire, who was joyfully clapping her hands. No one would believe Claire, but she really thought Ghost would be stronger than Alex or any other prodigies in the arena because she knew him more than anyone here knows him. In her mind, he was the number 1, not Alex, nor Selena. The disciples turned their gazes at Claire after hearing Ishihara's question. Every pair of eyes fell on Claire, expecting her answer. Yes, he is. Claire amplified her voice with arch energy to sound louder and clearer. With a flap of his wings, Nightmare soared towards Claire, shrinking his size more and more. Ghost! 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 The people of Rivertown and the disciples shouted as loud as they could. When Michael saluted at the pavilion with 2 fingers, the crowd went crazy. His alluring smile broadcasted on the mirror captivated hundreds of young hearts. Standing on the field down the stage, Sabrina was clapping to show her support. She never thought she would be amazed like this by someone who isn't her sibling. Contrary to Sabrina's expression, Andrews lost all the glow on his face. His heart skipped a beat as he started to sweat. Although he had a fusion stage cultivator helping him win the tournament, he couldn't help being afraid of Ghost. Even Noah advised him to be careful if he had to fight Ghost head-to-head. He's really good. In one of the VIP pavilions, Peyton and Zanali were looking at the stage. Peyton didn't like Ghost very much as he was the first one to reject an invitation to join Guardian Guild, yet even she praised him. Reaching core formation level 10 at the age of 21, this should be written on history, Ishihara praised. I could only think of 2 persons who managed to reach this level at the age of 21. One is a prodigy of our continent, Harriet Hunt. The name sent a chill running through Imelda's spine. The name Harriet Hunt had brought them enough pain, she never wanted to hear the name again. Being Harriet Hunt had caused Diana a lifetime of pain. Imelda knew this better than anyone. Moreover, the name brought back the memories Imelda wanted to forget completely. The images of what happened 21 years ago flashed across her eyes. Diana thought she knew what happened, but in reality, only Imelda knew what really happened all those years ago. She was afraid of telling Diana because she didn't want Diana to feel betrayed by her own sister. And the other is Layla Alden, the wielder of Angel's Vina. Just like the name Harriet Hunt depraved the delight from Imelda's heart, the name Layla Alden messed with Michael's joy in his heart. Every time Michael thought about Layla, the possibility of him having a spirit child with her and her intention of killing him flashed across his mind. These are all great kids, talented prodigies. But he has the best chance of entering the fusion stage at the age of 40, Daoist said to his fellow commentators. Michael liked the refreshment of the commentators flattering him. It helped him earn more badass points. He hoped their voice would be muted during battle though. The pillar slowly lost its glow after Michael took back his hand. Finally, the coordinators could let go of the mirror as it stopped trembling. Michael looked at Alex and Selena with a smile on his face. No one saw the meaning of his smile or the real intention behind it. Only Alex could feel the murderous glow in his eyes. Until this moment, Alex wasn't afraid of Ghost. However, after seeing his power and the murderous gleam in his eyes, he started to feel afraid deep inside. He turned back to move away from the mirror. While he was walking away, his eyes met with Peter. For a brief moment, Peter saw a smile on Michael's face that sent a chill through his spine for no reason. It felt like Ghost knew his secret that he's been hiding from everyone else. I think that's the last of the core formation participants, guys, Ishihara said. Let's have a short break before starting the first round of Body Strengthening Stage Championship, James Hall informed. Meanwhile, the core formation participants can join your sects or families and enjoy the show. After Darius spoke the words, the three commentators stood up and left their pill. With a swift jump, Michael leaped into the sky, slowly flying towards the pavilion Claire was sitting on. Since he had almost 400,000 badass points, he decided to upgrade his spells before the battle began. Most of the core formation participants were rushing to their mentors to form a plan against Ghost, including Paul. Up until Michael showed his cultivation level, the biggest threat for anyone winning the championship was Alex and Selena. Then they added Paul and Peter to that list. However, they all paled in comparison after Michael came into the picture. The biggest threat to every single one of them was Ghost. Meanwhile, on the stage, King of Breedia leaned closer to Lord Ashton. Lord Ashton, what do you think of Ghost? Do you think he will win this tournament? The king asked in a husky voice. Lord Ashton knew everything about the king's plan to marry the princess to the winner, although the king himself planned to keep it a secret until the end. However, Lord Ashton pretended like he don't know anything about the king's plan. Unless the participants gang up on him during the first 2 rounds and eliminate Ghost, he will win the championship without breaking a sweat. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 340. Time flew differently in the fire realm than in the rest of the world. Gaia lost track of time while moving towards the fire realm center. She grew tired of killing the fire demons and beasts roaming in the realm, especially the 3-headed black crows. The 3-headed crows were abundant in the fire realm. They had very powerful combat strength and abilities that few people could guard against. A level 2 core formation 3-headed crow was more than enough to fight a level 6 core formation human warrior. However, since its opponent was Gaia, it couldn't exercise all the advantages it had. Usually, they would use their speed to hunt their prey. In Gaia's case, her arrows were faster than the crow. The only thing that stopped her from massacring every beast and crow in her path was that she had only a finite number of arrows. Hence she fought some while fleeing from many, though she could have easily killed them all. She didn't forget to get the cores after killing them, as she wanted to give them to Michael. Caw, look, another one. Noticing another 3-headed crow chasing them from behind, Iag warned Gaia. At first, when she brought Vidora with her, she thought they might become a hindrance, but she was proven wrong. They were great companions, best lookouts. More than anything, they cared about her, just like Michael or Nightmare. Of course, each of the three had their own way of showing their affection, but Gaia knew deep down they loved her. Let's move our asses before it brings more of its ugly friends. Gaia fastened her pace. Kill it, it's calling its friends. Iag shouted loudly, yes, you have to kill it. Cain did not shout, he was calm as usual. Caw, the crow shouted out loudly again. Fuck this. Gaia halted her steps as the bow materialized in her hand. In a blink of an eye, she fired an arrow from her bow that soared through the air and pierced the crow's heart. Unlike before, she didn't linger around for the crow to hit the ground so she could collect the core. She immediately fled the place because she knew the crow's group wouldn't be very far. A flock of three-headed crows was really frightening. They were incredibly fast, and they were extremely difficult to kill. Gaia could fight one or two, but if the flock of 8 or 9 came, her life would really be in danger. If not for the true dragon flames, it would be at least 10 times more difficult for them to escape from the trap. They had no idea how many three-headed crows lived in this area. The entire woods was probably their territory. Also, these three-headed crows were actually calling for their mates. If all of a sudden more than 100, or even 1,000 three-headed crows would storm in, she would have a hard time dealing with the situation. Besides, she still had no clue about how dangerous Fire Realm truly was. If there was even core strengthening stage level 8 or 9 three-headed crow among the herd, there was no chance of her defeating that thing. Therefore, the best strategy right now was to run away from here. After she had fled a small distance from the scene, they heard some distant cries coming out. All of a sudden, the skies above were filled with three-headed crows. All of them flapped their wings and started crazily chasing Gaia. The leading three-headed crow had a gigantic body and was at least 15 meters tall, and its cultivation base was, as Gaia feared, core strengthening stage level 2. Oh my god! Iag exclaimed, so many crows, good thing we ran away, save your breath and increase your speed. These crows really live in a group, I think there are more of them. Cain warned Gaia. Gaia pushed all the arch energy to her legs to run as fast as she could. Instead of flying, she used the woods as her cover. Even then, the crows seemed to have sensed Gaia's presence. Why do I feel like he's chasing us? Iag asked. I don't think he will chase us forever. As long as the group stays behind, we'll be fine. She learned to be calm from Michael. Just like him, she wanted to take any tense situation calmly without overreacting. The last time she lost control of her anger, it almost drove her to the point she fought Ghost. Iag kept cursing as she was staring at the crow from Gaia's shoulder. Iag felt shameful to run away from an ugly crow like that. Compared to Cain or Sarba, she took more pride in being a Hydra, an otherworldly being. Unlike the core formation crows, the core strengthening stage crow was incredibly fast, and it was only because they left the area sooner they were able to run away from the crow. The three-headed crow kept chasing while letting out furious roars. Its eyes were fierce, and it kept spitting black poisonous mist from its mouth, which took the shape of a sword and pierced towards Gaia. However, the canopy above Gaia blocked the swords. Humph. Keep pissing me off. Once we are far away from your ugly friends, I'm gonna rip you apart. Gaia gritted her teeth. You want to kill it? Iag was surprised. She had never seen Gaia battle a core strengthening stage beast before. Unlike Nightmare or Ghost, Vidora only had little idea about her combat prowess. Yeah, the power gap between a core formation stage and core strengthening stage is huge, but that doesn't mean core formation warrior can't beat the latter ever. With good plan and strategy, we can kill this damn crow. She had a meticulous mind when it comes to battle because of her years of adventuring and battle experience. Even when she was in the middle of a fight, she could easily get hold of her and his enemies' advantages and disadvantages and come out with a plan to win the fight. Just like Michael, she never fought a battle where she is uncertain about the outcome. Caw. The three-headed crow kept letting out furious roars. It was furious as it kept attacking from behind. The powerful energy coming from his body had scared off a lot of nearby glass wraiths and fire demons. As for the group of three-headed crows, they were ditched far behind, and couldn't be seen anymore. I don't think he will stop chasing us unless we kill him, Sarba said. Just let it come, we'll show him that he just made the biggest mistake of his ugly life. A grin emerged on Iag's face. Fire Realm was a really huge place. They ran another 100 miles, yet they were still in the same desolated area. Gaia estimated that the huge group of three-headed crows wouldn't catch up anytime soon, or they might have even stopped pursuing. So, she stopped and stood firmly. As long as the core strengthening stage crow was far away from the three-headed crow's territory, she felt safe. The three-headed crow became startled upon seeing that the human and dog had stopped fleeing. In her mind, a human should have kept running for their lives. It was really abnormal for her to suddenly stop, as it meant death. Caw. Nonetheless, the crow didn't care so much. It dived down through the canopy towards Gaia to kill her with a single stab with its beak. You three, stay here. Gaia gently picked up Fedora from her shoulder to put them high on a branch. Hey, you have an attack plan? Sarba asked as the crow got closer and closer. I have a plan. Gaia turned back, putting her bow back inside her space ring. She looked up at the falling leaves and broken branches. Attack. She unleashed her energy as countless golden specks of light enveloped her body completely, causing the air to tremble and ripples to spread across the scene. The bright light made Fedora close its eyes for a brief moment. When they opened their eyes, there was a gigantic 8 feet tall 10 feet long snake standing in front of them where they saw Gaia a moment ago. The snake was covered in shiny dark purple scales. It was Gaia's real form, the Naga form that resembled a cobra. Poison cloud. Gaia hissed, a voice remained the same despite her transformation. A thick jade-green mist of poison came rushing out of her mouth. In a few seconds, the green cloud of smoke enveloped the woods before Gaia. Boom! Finally, the crow landed just a few meters away from Gaia. However, its eyes went wide in shock seeing her full form. Due to the branches hitting the crow's eyes while it was flying through the canopy, it didn't see her transform or release poisonous clouds. The poison had already gone into the crow's body when it inhaled the air. Caw. Caw. The crow tried to call its friends, but all that came out of its mouth was rough coughs. Gaia immediately slithered towards the crow. Although Gaia was fast, the crow still managed to react to her moves despite the poison spreading in its body. However, it was not the open sky for the crow to fly around freely. The canopy and the thick woods restricted its movements, but for Gaia, the surroundings were an advantage compared to the crow. Look out! Iag couldn't help shouting when the crow tried to attack Gaia's eyes using its claws. Boom! Suddenly a powerful blast of sonic wave hit the crow. It wasn't powerful enough to knock down the crow, but it was powerful enough to blast every single feather the black crow had. In a blink of an eye, the crow turned into a featherless rosy bird. Gaia was stunned, yet she avoided turning back at Fedora. Caw. The crow was pissed off as it let out an eardrum-tearing shout. Poison flame. Before it could shout again, Gaia spat a stream of dark green flame through her mouth. The fire shot straight into the crow's eyes as Gaia's fangs grew larger. In the speed of lightning flash, she bit the crow in the skin just above its wings. Since the crow didn't have any feathers, her fangs penetrated the crow's skin without any resistance. I guess I have some awesome powers. As the light in the crow was slowly dimming out, Iag said to her two brothers excitedly. Michael chapter next Michael chapter, Gaia chapter. Gan, do you guys and gals want me to release MG? One Michael chapter, then Gaia, then Michael, or MMMMMGGGGG. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 341. Michael landed on the pavilion where the Rivertown people and disciples were cheering excitedly for him. In the front 2 seats, he saw Claire and the elders were clapping with bright smiles on their faces. Even the usually calm and composed elder Sandra was greeting him with a wide grin. Brother Ghost. You are at level 10? Brother Ghost, you're so awesome. The other sects are gonna be so pissed, ha 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 ha. The disciples were too excited, not a single disciple remained in their seats. All of them were jumping up and down waving the name boards with Ghost's name on it in the air. Brother, come here, Cindy called him, sitting on Claire's lap. On Claire's right side, the elders remained seated while on her left, there was an empty seat reserved for Nightmare. Next to Nightmare's seat sat Olivia, Ricky, and several disciples who were in the sect longer than anyone else, the seniors. Seeing Michael approaching, Nightmare flapped his wing to launch himself in the air. Let me get that, Master Ghost. Ricky quickly came to him and removed Michael's dual sword sheath so Michael could comfortably rest on the chair until the first round for core formation warriors starts. Thank you, Ricky, Michael said after giving his swords to Ricky. He then made his way to the seat. Teacher, are you even a human? When Michael sat, Olivia asked. Instead of answering, he just gave her a smile. What took you so long? Claire's voice was mixed with giggles and concern. I came here as soon as I wanted to. Did I miss anything interesting? It depends on what you call an interesting, teacher. Olivia looked at the stage where the guests were sitting on an elevated stage on the field. Michael immediately recognized Lord Ashton. Both Michael and Ashton locked their eyes. Without uttering a word, each of them just nodded, wordlessly reminding them about their agreement. Who are they? Except for Aston, Michael didn't recognize the others. That's His Majesty King Bredia and Her Royal Highness Princess Catherine, Olivia said in a low voice, looking at the king and the princess. Then she turned her gaze at the red-haired man. Sitting right to the king is His Grace Duke of Flame Fair, Avon. Michael took a long look at the man. He was on Lucifer's hit list because of the slave mines. After seeing the state of Arius' two brothers, he wanted to know what kind of experiments they were doing in the slave mines. Unfortunately, the place was too dangerous for Michael to infiltrate at that time, and he had too many things on his plate. If a normal being suffered what Arius' brothers suffered, they would have died, but something kept them alive. Michael was curious to find out more about it. It wouldn't take a genius to figure out Duke Avon has a hand in the slave mine operations. Michael wasn't looking to play Good Samaritan by cleaning up the slave mines, but had a gut feeling that the slave mines might give him something useful. That man with a mustache is Lord Ashton. He's an elder of the Kane family. A frickin' fusion stage cultivator. He could feel the shock in her heart through her voice. Oh. Michael pretended to be surprised. Who is that blue hair? Michael quickly asked before Olivia went into details about Ashton, because she seemed like she had a lot to talk about Ashton and fusion stage. Lord Calvin, he's here representing Kingdom Thusia. The moment Michael heard the word Thusia, he gritted his teeth. A sudden explosion of anger erupted in his heart like a boiling volcano. The flashes of the sanctuary burning, a brass life, the smiles of the elders, the good memories, the betrayal of the princess, everything flashed across his eyes. For the first time in a long time, Michael sweated because of anger. He had a difficult time controlling his anger. Since the soul piece of Abras had merged more with Michael's part, the pain he experienced was so intense. In his mind, he didn't feel like someone else was betrayed but himself. Teacher, are you all right? Olivia noticed Michael sweating and shivering. Brother, Ghost, Cindy and Claire turned their concerned gazes at Michael. Yeah, it's just him feeling hot. Michael wiped the sweat off of his forehead with his hand. Do you need something, teacher? No. Michael's voice turned cold as it sent a chill running through Alvia's spine. Claire and Nightmare, who was sitting on Claire's lap with Cindy, could literally feel a sudden coldness around them. Boom. 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 Michael's train of thoughts was suddenly interrupted by the loud bell sounds. He took the gaze away from Calvin to see a translucent red chakra rotating above the battle stage. Since the coordinators had already taken the pillars and mirrors, the stage was empty. This year, the two tournaments will be conducted parallel instead of one after another. That means, after finishing one round of the body strengthening stage tournament, the round for core formation will start, so on and so forth. James Hall's voice reverberated through the arena. The first round of the body strengthening stage will now begin. The competitors, please step onto the stage. Michael saw youngsters in various armors jump onto the stage one by one and group by group. It took only a few more minutes before the stage got crowded with youngsters. Following the youngsters, a couple of coordinators arrived on the stage. Please stay still. The coordinator's voice too had the same volume as the commentators, so everything heard them loud and clear. No one dared to act otherwise after hearing the coordinator's instructions. They remained still as the chakra above them started to glow brighter and brighter before several orbs of red, green, yellow, and blue flew down from the chakra to the participants. The 4 colors of orbs of lights landed on each participant's body. In a blink of an eye, a thin layer of light enveloped the participants' bodies. Some of them had a blue layer, some of them had green, the rest of them had yellow and red. If you are wondering or counting still, there are 25 participants covered in each color. Those who have the same color layer would battle to be qualified for the next round, Ishihara explained. The rules of the first round are simple. You just need to eliminate the other participants by knocking them out or throwing them out of the battle stage. The last remaining 10 will be qualified for the next round. Each elimination will earn you a point that will be used in the later rounds to rank you and save you from elimination. Darius explained the rules to the participants as well as the audience. Those who attend the championship tournaments were familiar with the rules, yet the commentators would explain the rules for people like Michael who never witnessed a tournament before. And when the round begins, your arch energy will be blocked by the chakra above you, making you temporarily lose your cultivation power. As mentioned before, this round is designed to test your combat prowess without arch energy. You are also prohibited to take any kind of potions or pills during the battle. Taking alchemy drugs will result in disqualification and banned from participating in any tournaments that will take place in Elon in your future. Darius' words immediately caused a commotion among the participants as well as the crowd. Michael frowned after listening to Darius. He was expecting him to talk about the armor the participants were wearing, yet Darius didn't seem to have anything to talk about armors. He tried to sound like the committee wants the tournament to be fair, but there was nothing fair about battling a participant covered in unbreakable armor like Alex. Those who couldn't afford to wear armor such as Alex or Peters were clearly at disadvantage. Of course, Michael was not planning to raise his voice against this unfairness. As far as he was concerned, being born poor wasn't one's fault, but living and dying as one is. Michael could have easily bought or hired a dwarf to forge him an armor, but he chose not to because he had APD that could inject him with healing potions, strength enhancers, and the system. Wearing armor like Alex would certainly restrict his both hand-to-hand combat and sword skills. Now it's time for us to decide which group should battle first, and who is better to decide this other than His Majesty. Ishihara let out a sweet laugh as an orb of white light appeared from the chakra before floating towards the king. Your Majesty, please place your hand on the orb, choosing a color among red, blue, green, and yellow. Under the gazes of thousands of people, the king gracefully placed his hand on the floating orb before him. In a few blinks of an eye, the white orb radiated bright blue light. Blue team it is. The rest of the participants, please return to your places and return to the stage when it's your turn. Among the participants who remained on the stage, Michael spotted 3 familiar faces. They were Evan, Victoria, and Sabrina. After realizing 3 celebrity disciples were going to fight each other, Michael got slightly interested in watching the battle. The remaining 25 disciples prepared themselves to fight. Some of them formed small groups of 3 quickly after murmuring among themselves, while Sabrina, Victoria, Evan, who had the utmost confidence in their abilities, remained alone without forming any sort of alliance with the others. The battle will begin after the 3 bells. Prepare yourselves, people, you're in for a ride. After seeing the overwhelming response to my last question about the release order, I have decided to go with MMGG format so the battles will not be interrupted and make you go crazy on the author. The following tournament chapters will be focused on Michael and filled with action you've been waiting for. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts, as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 342, Sabrina. 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 Evan, Victoria, Victoria, Victoria. The overexcited fans of the celebrity disciples were screaming till their throats hurt. Michael's pavilion was silent. He was sitting on his seat calmly reading the book he bought from Lord Information. For merely 50 badass points, he changed the look of the book and the content inside. If others looked over Michael's shoulder, they could read about the intricacy of building a business empire. Taking his eyes away from the book, Michael looked at the stage to see 15 people remaining. All of them were heavily breathing, even Sabrina, who seemed like having an easy time, had sweat drops on her forehead. Evan was bleeding in the corners of his mouth while Victoria had a small cut on her forearm. It's getting interesting, isn't it? Who's gonna be the last remaining 10-inch? Ishihara asked. Among those remaining on the stage, Sabrina is holding the higher number of elimination by throwing the participants off the stage. She had eliminated 4-inch. Michael listened to James Hall comment. Evan stands next to her after eliminating 3 participants by knockouts, and Victoria holds the record of 2 elimination by knockout and 1 by throwing off the stage. Look out. Suddenly everyone's gaze turned at Evan when he shouted. The runes and the arrays placed on the battle stage really drew Michael's attention. They amplified the voices of participants to make the crowd hear what they were talking about while battling. On the stage, participants could hear the crowd cheering but not the commentators talking. Michael saw Evan shouting at Victoria as a bulky muscular mountain running towards Victoria like a crazed rhino. Michael could hear the loud thud noise as he was running towards Victoria. Somewhat thinking about Victoria gonna get thrashed put a smile on Michael's face. However, when the man was just about to spear Victoria, Evan threw himself in the path, pushing Victoria away from the man's path. Boom! When the man clashed with Evan, their collision produced a loud booming sound. Whoa, that's outta hurt, James Hall said. Evan. Victoria lost her composure when she saw Evan getting knocked down by the bulky man. The other participants quickly turned their focus on Evan. It was an amateur move that was capitalized by Sabrina. She suddenly pounced at a nearby participant. When he felt a gush of wind, it was too late as Sabrina threw him out of the stage with a powerful punch to his chest. On the other hand, Michael saw Victoria throw herself at the muscular man with enough force to make him stumble down. While the coordinators came to check whether Evan was knocked out or not, Victoria was punching the muscular man sitting on top of him. Knockout, the coordinators gestured at the crowd after seeing Evan's unconscious body. Idiot, Michael sighed before putting his focus on the book again. After 3 hours of the body strengthening stage first round and a break, they finally began the first round for the core formation participants. Core formation participants, please come to the stage, Michael heard Darius' voice. Good luck, brother Ghost. Kick their ass, Ghost, Elder Reiner shouted excitedly. Ghost. 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 Under the showering cheers of the pavilion, Michael flew out of there towards the stage. Just like Michael, Alex and Selena too received thunderous cheers. After all, they both belonged to Morningstar, one of the biggest sects in Elon. The sun has already fallen into the horizon, yet the lights above them kept the arena as bright as a day. As Michael reached the stage, he saw thousands of eyes landing on him. There were several unknown faces that stood beside him, keeping their distance from him for some reason. No one dared to form an alliance or even talk to him. For them, he was one of the biggest threats that stood in the way of winning the tournament. Michael couldn't care less about what they thought. As far as he was concerned, he was going to win this thing. Ghost, suddenly while the participants were gathering on the stage, Michael heard someone calling his name. Michael looked in the direction of the voice to see Andrews walking towards him. Despite Andrews' worried, dull face, Michael immediately recognized him and greeted him with a smile. Andrews Winston, Michael firmly shook Andrews' hand. I never expected to see you here. The last time I saw you, you were still at Boyd's strengthening stage level 1 and on the verge of dying. Thank you for saving me, Ghost. I just wished I got the chance to thank you under different circumstances. Michael noticed Andrews' eyes move towards the princess. Everyone looked at the princess, but there was something different in the way Andrews looked at her. Then Andrews stood there beside Michael watching the fans in front of them. I need to win this, Ghost. Andrews' voice sounded so serious. Then you shouldn't hold back anything, Andrews. Michael turned his head to look at Andrews. Because I want. Andrews couldn't help feeling a chill running through his spine. Hold still, everyone. As Michael turned his gaze away from Andrews, the coordinators instructed them to hold still. Since they were on the stage, Michael couldn't hear what the commentators were talking about. Ethan, Imelda, and Diana felt their heartache seeing Ghost and Andrews preparing to fight each other. Although it might be inevitable, they still didn't want the two of them to end up in the same group and fight each other. Imelda closed her eyes, praying to the gods to put Michael and Andrews in different groups. Michael looked up at the chakra to see it rotate faster and faster before sending light orbs down. The very next moment, Michael felt a warm sensation as he looked at his hand to see a red translucent layer covering it. The participants soon looked at the stage where the king was sitting. Just like during the body strengthening stage round 1, they saw a white orb traveling towards the stage, but this time, it flew straight to Ashton. It was Ashton's end of the deal to make Michael and Alex fight each other, as Michael had no control over the chakra to make it possible. Hence, Ashton had to do something to put Alex with Michael. In a blink of an eye, the white orb of light turned red when Ashton touched the orb. Michael cracked his neck, preparing himself for the round. He looked around and saw Andrews had a blue light, Alex and Selena had a yellow light, while Peter and Paul had green light layers on them. Well, this is disappointing, Michael sighed inside. If a celebrity disciple ended up in the same group as him, he could have beat the hell out of them to earn even more badass points. But when he looked at the red-layered participants, he noticed all of them looking at him. The green, yellow, and blue-layered participants can now leave the stage and enjoy the battle until your turn comes, Michael heard Ishihara's voice as the other participants started to leave the stage. Good luck, Ghost. Andrews was well-mannered enough to utter these words before leaving. Michael was walking to the center of the stage when he heard a cold female voice coming from behind. You will pay for everything. Michael didn't even need to turn back to recognize the person. It was a very familiar voice. Still, Michael turned back with a cold smile to see Selena and Alex looking at him. Oh, I am planning to. Michael knew what he said would have reached everyone's ears, but he didn't care because today, Alex will die. Michael didn't feel any pity for killing Jane, and he would certainly not feel any pity killing Alex. It seemed like fate wanted Michael to take away Selena's loved ones one by one. No weapons, only hand-to-hand combat, the coordinators reminded them before taking off into the sky. They floated several meters above in the sky, watching over the participants on the stage. Ghost. 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 The fans of Michael kept cheering as loud as they could. Their thunderous cheers reverberated the arena. For a moment, Michael closed his eyes, mentally blocking all the noises to put full focus on the battle before him. He felt a warm sensation running from his head to toe. He knew it was the runes scanning him for any potions or runes on his body to enhance his traits like strength or speed. The system made sure the APD wouldn't be detected by any scans. Waiting for the coordinator's signal to begin the battle, the participants surrounded Michael, forming a circle around Michael. In the VIP pavilion, Ethan leaned closer, seeing Ghost getting surrounded by the participants. It is not fair, he said. It makes sense for them to eliminate the highest threat first. Norvin, the golden Babaru, said while eating an apple casually. 1 versus 24, huh? Then everyone heard Michael's calm voice. Ethan didn't see a tiny bit of fear or worry on his face. On the contrary, Ghost remained in the center with a calm smile. Guys and gals, we can either do this the easy way or the hard way, Michael said, looking at the youngsters before him. You are in no position to say that, Ghost. Humph, a fully plated armor-wearing participant snickered. He even covered his head with a metal helmet that looked like the helmet of Thor. Ignoring the youngster's words, Michael said, the easy way, you 24 can fight among yourselves and eliminate 15 people yourselves. Ethan's eyes went wide hearing the words coming out of Ghost's mouth. If Ethan didn't know Ghost was his son, he would have said Ghost is the most arrogant guy he had ever seen. I don't know if he's being serious or kidding, James Hall said. You might be a genius, but at this moment, you're just like the rest of us. The youngster in armor took several steps towards Michael as the others followed him. Little by little, the circle of people was getting closer to Michael. You clowns really think taking away my cultivation would make me you? Ha ha ha. Michael burst into cold laughter. Get him. Michael's words instantly made them snap as pouring petrol into a fire. They all rushed towards Michael in all directions. The first one to reach Michael was the armored youngster who trash-talked him. He threw his fist, aiming at Michael's face to knock him out with a single punch. However, Michael evaded the punch while grabbing another youngster by his leather shirt. In lightning-fast movements, Michael tore the leather shirt and sent him away into the crowd with a swift kick. His training with Gaia and the fighting technique gave him inhumane speed even without the arch energy. The armored youngster never expected Michael to move that fast. Before the guy could react, Michael tied his arms around his back using the leather shirt he had just torn off. No matter how much metal armor he wore, with his hands tied behind his back, the youngster posed no threat to Michael. When the crowd came too close, Michael grabbed the armored youngster by his neck and used him as a center pole, kicking the crowd in a circle like in the Matrix movie. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 343. Everyone was stunned to see Michael fighting 24 participants at the same time. Since they decided to gang up on him, Michael didn't feel bad about using APD to lessen the pain and heal any internal wounds. After using the armored youngster as a pole for a couple of minutes, Michael lifted him up, deciding to use the youngster as a weapon. He swung the armored youngster in a circle, pushing the participants off balance. It's time for some elimination. Finally Michael got some distance from the participants. He said to himself, wiping off the blood from the corner of his mouth. Of course, he received several blows from the youngster. After all, 24 adrenaline-rushed youngsters ganged upon him from all directions. Several youngsters tried to pick themselves up from the ground while some remained, thinking whether to use this moment to eliminate unsuspecting participants or not. Either way, Michael had some time as he walked towards the armored youngster who was lying on the ground trying to rip off the leather shirt that tied his arms. "Arg, you bastard!" Seeing Michael walking towards him, the armored youngster frantically wiggled to get himself out of the bind. Next time, pick the easy way. Like the youngster was weighing nothing, Michael easily lifted him by the gap between the youngster's chin and chest. Pook. Arg, pook. 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 Diana felt her sister squeezing her hand looking at Ghost brutally beating the armor-wearing youngster. The big screens broadcasted the bloodied face of the younger and the blood oozing out of the youngster's face. His face turned into a bloody pulp of mess. Imelda couldn't get herself to look at the big screens. Even Ethan was shocked by the brutality Ghost was exhibiting. He never expected to be so brutal. Unlike Diana, he never saw his son go on a bloodthirsty rampage. What stunned Ethan more was the expressionless face of Ghost. He didn't even flinch when beating the life out of the youngster. "Coordinators, please hurry before he kills that poor boy," James Hall reminded the coordinators who were floating above the battle stage. The participants who were witnessing Michael's brutality felt a chill running through their spines. For a moment, they just remained still waiting for the coordinators to stop Ghost. Thud. However, before the coordinators could come to him, Michael threw the half-dead body of the youngster into a trio of participants who were watching the scene standing near the stage's edge. Thanks to Michael's hellish weight training with Gaia every evening, he had enough strength to throw the body with enough force to send the trio of unlucky participants staring at the scene. Such force, there's 4 elimination including a possible KO by death, Ishihara said. Ethan saw Ghost's bloodied face revealing a devilish smile. Some of the girls on the stage took several steps back in fear as the other participants decided it's better to fight others and eliminate them quickly before Ghost gets his hands on them and beats them to death. "Let's dance," Michael snickered. He wanted to instill fear in everyone who was about to fight him in the tournament. By the looks of the youngsters in front of him, he had done a good job. But unlucky for others, this was just the beginning of Michael's brutality. Gaia and Vidora finally left the woods after killing the 3-headed crow. Due to the thick forest and Gaia's speed, they didn't bump into any more fire demons or beasts such as glass wraiths and 3-headed crows. After the surprising show of power, Iag and the other 2 heads fell asleep. They were peacefully sleeping in Gaia's side bag while she was running through the forest. After an hour of non-stop running, she eventually found herself in a chilling and quiet valley. The hills on either side were decadent with green foliage and new-sprung buds. The place was silent, not the calming one but an eerie one. The white fog covering the valley added an extra layer of creepiness to the valley. "Aya, where are we?" Iag asked, yawning and craning her head out of Gaia's bag. "Whoa, this place gives me creeps. There are probably some fire demons or something hiding here," Sarba said. "We are still at the edge of Fire Realm. The deeper we go, the more dangers we face," Gaia explained as Sarba nodded his head in agreement. After having spent some time here, Vidora understood how dangerous this place was. Since their arrival, they had bumped into 3 strange creatures, the fire demon, the glass wraith, and the 3-headed black crow. They might even bump into weirder and rarer creatures soon. But, no matter how incredible the demons and devils were, Vidora wouldn't feel shocked anymore. This was Fire Realm. To any human cultivator, this place was just a deadly hell. It was a place of brutality, life-threatening scenarios, darkness, bloodshed, and slaughter, and in order to keep one's life here, the person could only rely on his own strength. Without incredible strength, the place could kill the person at any time. Gaia looked at the sky to see the dark clouds filling the sky. "It'll be dark soon. We need to find a safe place to stay the night." Gaia walked forward while looking around the hills to find a cave. "So are you gonna talk about this awesome one's awesome powers or not?" Iag's voice was filled with pride and superiority. "We will after we find a cave and I break through to the core strengthening stage." Sarba's eyes went wide in surprise hearing Gaia. Compared to Iag, Sarba knew more about cultivation and this world because while Iag sleeps, Sarba would stay awake reading books or talking to Nightmare. He didn't know how much Kane knew because Kane was not a very talkative being like Iag. The fusion stage cultivator's femur Michael brought from the nether realm still had some energy left. Gaia planned to absorb it completely to break through to the core strengthening stage. Until coming here, she wanted to wait, strengthening her foundation before breaking through. However, her situation changed. She had to break through if she wanted to survive this place. Coupled with her battle experience, Michael's arrows, and her core strengthening stage cultivation, she could easily kill any core strengthening stage beasts under level 4. To kill anything between level 4 and level 7 would require a plan and strategy, but it wouldn't be impossible. Although she wouldn't be able to kill anything above level 7, she would be able to escape with a few minor wounds. "Damn it. Where do you have to steal my thunder?" Iag bite Gaia's forearm. "Well, talk about your newfound powers, I promise," Gaia promised with a serious expression. There, suddenly Sarba raised his voice as Gaia looked up in the hill to her right side to see a cave. Gaia made her way to the cave with a few leaps using her arch energy. Standing at the mouth of the cave, Gaia conjured an orb of fire to light the cave. The cave was neither too deep nor wide. Although the ground seemed wet and the roof had a purplish moth covering, the cave was clean and didn't seem to have anything living in it. Still, Gaia closed her eyes, spreading her perception around the cave just to make sure nothing was inside. "It's safe," Gaia said to Vidora before walking into the cave. Jade shield. After entering the cave, she turned back, casting a spell. Soon, a translucent shield covered the entrance. "Unless it's a core strengthening stage beast, nothing can come in. It'll wake up in 7 hours." Gaia placed the side bag with Vidora in it aside her before retrieving the fusion stage femur from her space ring. The bone still had its glimmer but not as bright as when Michael gave her the first time. "Don't fight with your brothers," Gaia flicked Iag in the head before closing her eyes. "Wait till I fully comprehend my powers," Aya growled as Sarba chuckled. After almost 5 hours, Gaia had leisurely absorbed 90% of the remaining energy in the femur. Her energy had increased by a lot and she was on the verge of breaking through to the core strengthening stage. Because of the energy fluctuations around her, some unwanted guests started to come towards the cave. Roar. Loud roars came from not far away. The thundering roars sounded out throughout the entire valley. After a few long moments, 2 massive creatures appeared not far away from the cave. They were 2 gigantic panthers. Each of them had a bot between 12 to 15 meters tall, which made them look like a small hill. Their looks and the arch energy they radiated would frighten most people within a snap of time. Both panthers looked identical, gray stone fragments could be seen all over their bodies. On top of their heads, there was a long stone horn that glowed dimly. The eyes of these panthers were the same color as their stone, but they carried a fierce look. "Fuck, something's coming in our direction," Iag cursed out silently. Vidora had no idea about the twin greystone panthers. Beasts like these were rare to the outside world. This was not the case in ancient places like Fire Realm. Twin demon beasts like greystone panthers were incredibly vicious, their minds were linked, and once they entered a fight, they could achieve absolute perfect teamwork. The perfect team was not something that should be taken lightly because with their teamwork, the greystone panthers could hunt down bigger, meaner, and more powerful beasts than them. Roar! Despite the darkness, the panthers were able to see the cave in the hills. As soon as their eyes fell on the cave, they immediately started to walk towards the cave while roaring fiercely. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 344. Vidora felt the ground trembling as they heard the roars becoming louder and louder. The purplish moths covering the ceiling crumbled down on them with each roar. "Dang it, how could we possibly kill whatever that's coming here?" Sarba blurted out, "We need to wake her up." Despite their situation, Kane still sounded calm, just like Michael. "No, the only way we can survive this place is if she breaks through to the core strengthening stage. We must stall that thing and give her the time she needs." Iag flapped their tiny wings to land before Gaia. "How are we gonna do that? Talk that thing to death?" Sarba snapped, "Idiot, I have powers, and if I do, you two meatheads must have some powers too." Her words indeed made sense to Sarba and Kane. Still, it seemed like a bad time to rely on their unfound powers. Even if they could find out about their powers, there was no guarantee a body refining stage level 2 beast could survive a battle with anyone above body strengthening stage. "The shield is still up, let's hope whatever's coming towards us is not a core strengthening beast," Sarba said. "Man, I miss Ghost. If he was here, we could have just stood on his shoulder and enjoyed him beating the hell out of everything. It was her stupid decision and emotion to leave him, and you dragged us with her instead of convincing her not to leave him," Kane grunted after hearing Iag. From the very beginning, he was against the idea of Gaia leaving Michael and venturing into such a dangerous place. Unfortunately, Sarba leaned with Iag, so 2 out of 3 votes made Vidora accompany Gaia. There was nothing Kane could do. Iag headbutt Kane, hearing his disagreement. But in the next second, Iag's eyes lit up, and she blinked with a cunning look in her eyes. "Look, in case it's a core strengthening stage beast, we don't need to kill it." "We can't," Sarba interjected, only to get a vicious headbutt from Iag. "We just need to stall the beast until this half-snake wakes up from her cultivation." Iag looked at both Kane and Sarba for their approval. "Since getting out of here without Gaia is impossible and you won't let us wake her up, it seems we have no other choice but. Hope your plan would work." "What do you think, Kane?" Sarba asked Kane. "We can stall the beast all right. If what Nightmare said was true, the core strengthening beast would possess the intellectual prowess of humans. And the sight of us, a new species, would make the beast curious and reevaluate or form up a new plan to deal with us. It might take time to gauge our strengths and weaknesses. If I saw a new species in front of me, that's what I would do." Kane's words somehow reassured both Iag and Sarba. With his approval, Iag closed her eyes, trying to figure out how she managed to let out the sonic cry. After having inherited Michael's personality and observing Gaia and Ghost for so long, Kane had learned a lot of crafty actions, and he had gained a lot of combat experience. Thud. 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 As the seconds passed by, the ground trembled more and more violently. They were getting drenched in purplish moths. It was raining moths inside the cave. However, the moth was the last of Vidora's problems. "If you have any powers, now will be a great time to reveal it, Kane." Sarba shivered, hearing the roars getting louder and louder. He could tell whatever that's coming to them is closer than they like it to be. "Hey, it can still be a core formation beast and Gaia's barrier can save us. Sarba tried to calm himself by being optimistic. His smile was not the brightest as he still had intense fear hiding behind his smile. Cain muttered, what? It's not one, it's two. Two beasts. Just as Cain uttered these words, Sarba looked through the translucent shield Gaia cast to see two huge yet majestic panthers made out of grey stone standing at the entrance. Considering Vidora's small stature, the panthers noticed her first before they noticed the tiny beast standing before the human. Both the panthers bore their teeth, which caused Sarba to feel a tingling sensation in his spine. Dazer, look there, surprising Vidora, one panther talked in human tongue. The voice sounded so rough and animalistic as one would imagine. Soon the panthers both closed their mouths while their slit vertical pupils that shone in silver in the darkness became rounded. The murderous look in their eyes got replaced by curiosity. We are screwed, Sarba grunted, noticing the panther's cultivation level. Both of them were at core strengthening stage level 3, one level above the three-headed crow Gaia fought. But unlike before, the panthers weren't in a disadvantageous position. In fact, the panthers had the advantage of fighting in a closed space such as the cave. What is that? I have never seen such a beast before. The other panther gracefully took a step forward. Looking at the shield, one panther just raised its front paw, slowly putting its paw through the shield like it was testing the shield's power. When the panther's paw touched the shield, it produced a ripple through the shield. Humph, the panther snickered after making sure the shield couldn't stop or hurt them. Step by step, the panthers entered the cave through the shield. Get out. Ayag's eyes abruptly opened as she let out a powerful cry. A more powerful blast of a sonic wave shot out of her mouth and soared towards the panthers. The entire cave shook violently as the panthers got pushed back several steps backward. Although Vidora was just on the body refining stage level 2, the sonic cry had the power of a spell cast by a body strengthening stage level 7. The panthers' eyes went wide except their eyes brimmed with more curiosity and bloodthirstiness. Nur, this must be some heavenly beast, and it must be delicious to eat, the panthers talked to each other. We cannot waste a drop of blood of this beast and we must do it before that human breakthrough to the core strengthening stage. I can feel she's just an hour away from breaking through, then we kill the beast and devour the human before she breaks through. So much for your theory, Cain, Ayag growled. Not the idiot shouted and kindled their curiosity. Cain snapped, eat these too. All bones and no flesh. The panthers evilly grinned hearing the silver head in the middle trying to plead. I think we should go with Cain's plan of waking her up. Ayag swallowed a mouthful of saliva. An overwhelming threat to her life shadowed her pride and haughtiness. Just as the panthers were only a couple of meters away from Vidora, an emerald green orb shot into the cave from somewhere. The panthers were startled as they almost jumped back in shock. Boom! Before Vidora could see the orb completely, it exploded creating a muffled booming sound. Soon afterward, a green smoke filled the cave. Vidora immediately tried to close their nostrils with their small wings. It burns. Arg! Unlike Vidora, the panthers growled. Their voices were filled with terror and pain. Soon, they fell onto the ground, rolling frantically like they were on fire. By now, Vidora realized the green smoke didn't pose a threat to them since they felt nothing. As the panthers were rolling on the ground, a golden bolt of lightning hit the panthers from outside the cave. Ghost! Vidora's eyes went wide as they sparkled in excitement. They couldn't help but let out a long heave of sigh. However, Cain noticed something different with the lightning bolt. He looked at the panther which got hit by the lightning bolt to see a sword sticking out of the panther's gut. Swords of Justice, a calm yet magnetic voice sounded in the cave. Vidora looked at the cave entrance to see a human in pure white robes making his way towards them with a glistening white sword in each hand. For a moment, Vidora thought it was Ghost because the images of Ghost flashed across their eyes when they saw the youngster. Except for the color choice of his dress, this youngster possessed the same swag and grace of Ghost. In simple words, he looked just as dashing and stunning as Ghost in Vidora's eyes. Vidora saw the youngster raise his swords at the panthers before swinging them in the air. In a snap of time, several energy swords resembling the swords in his hand appeared above the panthers. The youngster winked at Vidora as the swords hanging above the panthers fell straight into the ground while skewering the panthers. The panthers frantically wiggled in pain, blood gushing out of their bodies. Still, no matter how hard they squirmed, they couldn't cast a spell or escape the wrath of the swords. Vidora was completely stunned seeing the youngster's prowess. They never expected a core formation level 4 youngster to kill not one but 2 core strengthening stage level 3 beats with such ease. Kane could guess it was that green smoke that affected the panthers, somehow making them vulnerable to the spell he cast. Under Vidora's shocked gazes, the youngster went closer to the panthers before ending their suffering once and for all by stabbing the panthers through their hearts using his swords. Then he squatted down to pull out the cores from the panther's chest. Whoosh! Just after a few seconds, the youngster pulled out the cores. A strong gust of wind swirled inside the cave, forming a small tornado around Gaia. An eye-hurting bright light enveloped her body. The light covered her body for a few more minutes before fading away. She did it, Ag shouted excitedly. Gaia then abruptly opened her eyes and her sharp gaze fell on the youngster standing before her. Noah Winston, Vidora saw the youngster letting out a calm smile. Elia, or should I call you Gaia Ashton? If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 345, System, Upgrade all the spells to max levels. Michael just sat there beside Claire while looking at his status window. He had 500,000 badass points that were waiting to be spent. Wonderful. Of course, the system can't upgrade the existing spells and skills to max level, not max, just upgrade them as much as you can with the points I have. He wouldn't have chosen to upgrade the spells and skills if he didn't hear the Morningstar and Golden Valley is prioritizing to eliminate him from the tournament. With his current self, fighting several disciples who were above the core formation level 5 without using his full Lucifer form was not a fight he could win. Instead of strategizing to deal with each and every celebrity disciple like Alex or Selena, Michael decided to go with the ultimate plan, power triumphing over everything. Upgrading the spells and skills to the max level would make the tournament boring and easy host. You'd be invincible among core formation stage warriors. That's a bad thing. How? Just saying. Now what spells and skills do you want me to upgrade first? Responsive Shield, Ignitia, Lightning Dash. Upgrade them in the same order. Wonderful. You'll be temporarily thrown out of the system's interface and feel a tingling pain in your brain. What? Michael was stunned to hear the system. However, before he could ask why, the system interface disappeared from his eyes. Another elimination for Alex and Selena. When he exited the system, Michael heard James Hall's excited voice. He looked around to see the disciples of Morningstar screaming as loud as they could to cheer Alex and Selena. On the stage, Alex and Selena moved in perfect rhythm like they were dancing. Every time they got closer to an unlucky participant, either Selena knocked out the participant with a single punch to the side of the jaw or Alex threw out the participant like the participant was a sack of cotton. They are really making the round one look easy, Ishihara said. In the big mirror, Michael saw Alex look in his direction for a moment before Spartan kicked one participant off the stage. Arg! Abruptly a muffled cry escaped Michael's mouth when he suddenly felt an excruciating pain in his head. Son of AB dash, he almost cursed the system out loud. The damn system told him he would feel a tingling pain, but what he felt was not tingling. It felt like someone stabbing his brain with a rusty nail. Brother, did you say something? Cindy asked with a concerned look on her face. No, Arg, yet again, he grunted. This time, Claire turned her head. Excuse me. Before he could blurt out another cry of pain, Michael stood up and left his seat. Fuck you system. On his way to the hall below the arena where some disciples and mentors were strategizing away from the eyes of the people, he cursed the system. He climbed down the stairs fighting the pain with all his might. Many disciples from the small sects greeted him, but he completely ignored them. He hoped the strategizing hall would have less crowd than these stairs. Fortunately, he had APD to inject him with healing potions that somewhat lessened the pain. Soon, he started to sweat like he was locked into an oven. Navigating through the labyrinth of corridors, Michael finally entered a spacious hall with several groups of disciples in various armors and uniforms. They all looked extremely tense. Michael looked around the hall for a few moments before his eyes fell on a small lion's head which spit water through its mouth. Above the little lion head, they had a mirror hanging on. Now that he looked around, he saw several structures like these. He guessed that the nervous participants could wash their faces and freshen up a little before walking to the battle stage. Is that Ghost? Yeah, it is. What's he doing here? Stay away from him. Did you see what he did to that guy? I never thought a gentle-looking guy like him would be so cruel. Shoo, he's gonna hear us. Although Michael didn't notice her among the disciples, Sabrina noticed him. She wanted to kick those who were bad-mouthing him. Unlike most of the disciples here, Ghost earned everything through his hard work. Sabrina admired that about Ghost. Moreover, she felt immense gratitude towards Ghost for saving not only her but also her mother and Andrews. Arg, fuck, how long is this upgrading gonna take? Michael gripped the edge of the sink so tightly as lines of cracks started to appear in the pearl-white sink. Letting go of the sink, Michael took a handful of clear water to wash the sweat off of his face. He kept splashing water onto his face until he saw a familiar face in the mirror standing behind him. Miss Sabrina. Michael turned back with water running from his face onto his black turtleneck. Here, before Michael could get the towel from his space ring, Sabrina reached out her handkerchief to him. Thank you. Michael was in too much pain to argue with Sabrina over a handkerchief. The male disciples who were dying to get Sabrina's attention ever since they got here became so jealous of Michael. Not only did she voluntarily go to talk to him but also gave him her handkerchief so he could wipe his face with it. I want to ask you something if you don't mind. Sabrina opened and closed her mouth several times before finally speaking these words. Shoot. Michael felt somewhat better after washing his face. The pain in his brain slowly started to ease. Michael took out a leather drinking pouch from his space ring. While Sabrina was forming her words, he took a long sip from the pouch. He then leaned on the wall behind him. I know Elia is not competing in the tournament, but if she did, do you think I still have the chance to win the championship? Michael was genuinely surprised by her questions. Moreover, she seemed like she was looking for his approval or something. Michael was not the only one who was surprised. Her friends seemed stunned. Sabrina was kind of a girl who was independent, strong, and someone would even say arrogant. However, right at this moment, she seemed so obedient and meek in front of Ghost. They had never seen her act like this before. First of all, you don't need others to tell you the odds. Second, Elia is my girlfriend, so my judgment will be biased. Third, you're good, you even have the chance to win this thing, but if Elia was here, that championship would have belonged to her. Many raised their brows hearing Michael's words. Some even expected Sabrina to get mad, except her face split into a wide grin. Thank you for being honest with me anytime, Miss Sabrina. Michael took another sip of water. And please call me Sabi. Michael didn't say anything but handed over the handkerchief back to her before leaving the hall. She stared at Michael's figure disappearing around the corner. Just a few moments after Michael left the hall, Andrews came to her side. What did you ask him? Andrews was afraid she discussed something related to him. I asked him the same question I asked Noah. Do you think I still have the chance to win the championship if Elia competed in the tournament with me? Oh, Andrews felt stunned and relieved at the same time. Noah said I will win the tournament no matter who is in the tournament. I knew he was lying, so I won't feel discouraged. Yeah, he's your brother. He's supposed to motivate you, Andrews said to see Sabrina reveal a gentle smile. What did Ghost say? He said I don't need others to tell me the odds, and because Elia is his girlfriend, his judgment would be biased. She paused for a moment. And Elia would have won the championship if she was here. Andrews frowned. Unlike Noah, Andrews didn't know what Elia was capable of. As far as he believed, Sabrina would win the body strengthening stage championship without a doubt. You guys always pampered me because I'm family. It was refreshing to see someone telling me the truth without sugarcoating it for me. Andrews saw the smile on her face getting brighter as she clenched the handkerchief tightly against her chest. What are you getting at? I don't know. He was like a brother I never got. The bond of siblings ran deep and strong in the Hunt family. Sabrina had the same Hunt family gene in her body. Hence she deep down felt a connection with Ghost. Somehow Ghost reminded of Noah despite their contrasting personalities. Sabrina couldn't shake the feeling of familiarity with Ghost. Because of that, after the tournament, she wanted to find out about Ghost's origins through her sister Rowena. If anyone could find out about Ghost's parents or his past, it would be the Holy Maiden of Skyhall, her sister. Meanwhile, Ghost returned to his seat freshened up. The pain in his brain was still there, but it was way less than before. Congratulations, the spell-responsive shield has been upgraded to level 8. Host is now completely immune to any spell attacks of a core formation stage warrior. Warning, legendary spells cast by a core formation level can still do some damage. Finally, Michael let out a grin. Resting his head on his hand, he looked at the blue-haired youngster on the same stage as Ashton. I'm gonna destroy your precious little Thusia brick by brick, before you get mad at me for not releasing a Gaia chapter that might be interesting than the tournament to some of you. Let me tell you this, that will feature the long-awaited battle, Ghost vs. Alex. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 346, Now the tournament committee will provide our audience with revitalizing pills, Ishihara said. After taking this pill, you will feel rested and refreshed. There were several complaints about fights in inns and taverns between youngsters. The people heard James Hall. Can you believe 2 noble families went extinct because the youngsters and their families couldn't wait until the chairs became available? James Hall sighed. Unfortunately, it happens all over the world. The family power clouds many youngsters' minds, so they pick fights with the wrong people. There are many rogue cultivators in this world who are stronger than strongest families in some kingdoms. Michael continued to listen to the commentators blabber about the young masters and how they got their asses kicked and families destroyed. Meanwhile, the coordinators flew around the arena sending small emerald-colored round pills to the audience. Everyone, including the cultivators, got a pill. Claire helped Cindy swallow the pill. The very next moment Condi swallowed the pill, the dark circles formed under her eyes due to lack of sleep faded away. Her face lit up like someone put a candle inside her mind. With newfound energy, Cindy started to clap her hands joyfully. In a couple of minutes, the entire arena erupted in cheers as they did at the beginning of the tournament. In a few more minutes, we will begin the second round of the Body Strengthening Stage Championship. Darius' voice calmed down the people. The people leaned forward on their seats. The second round of the tournament will be just like the first round with one simple change. In the second round, participants can use a weapon of their choice. But they can't change their weapons middle of the battle. You pick it, you stick with it. Can this weapon have runes? Ishihara asked Darius. The committee had a long talk about runes but ultimately decided not to let the participants take rune-placed weapons. If it was before, Michael would have been worried about weapons with runes. After upgrading spells and skills, unless a participant had a legendary weapon or used a legendary spell, Michael would be invincible among the core formation warriors. Remind me when my turn comes. Unlike the rest, Michael leaned back on his chair. He took out the book he bought from Lord Information and started to read it. The 40 participants who qualified for the second round will be divided into 4 groups of 10. Among the 10, each of them will fight another participant in their group. It'll be one-on-one battle. James Hall described the format of the second round. How does the elimination process work? Ishihara asked. A participant must make his or her opponent surrender or knockout to win the battle. Remember that the part of a battle experience is knowing when to back down. Many famous cultivators had surrendered in their life to live to fight another day. There is no shame in surrendering. Michael knew Darius' words were true, yet he doubted these thick-headed young masters and young misses would choose to surrender. Many of them would rather die than surrender. For them, surrendering was a shame. Yes, surrendering might just save your life because coordinators can't always swoop down and save you in time, James Hall said. If death were to occur, the families and sects are prohibited to harm the participant in any way. If any harm is to fall on the participant by the victim's family or sect, the Guardian Guild will take it as an action against them and come at you with full force. When everyone thought Darius couldn't sound any more serious, he proved them wrong. Michael was glad to hear Darius. This way he wouldn't worry about getting chased by the Fisher family after he kills Alex. Of course, he knew they might try to harm by other means. Nonetheless, Michael had to kill Alex. It was Alex who pushed Michael to this point by putting a contract on his head. Also, after spending some time with Lord Information, Michael began to grasp how the Grim Reapers operate. Unlike he initially thought, Grim Reapers wouldn't kill anyone for money. They were picking targets with weak or no power backing them. The Grim Reapers were like a hybrid of assassins and politicians. That was why the Grim Reapers had never killed a high-value target like a king or a sect leader, because they knew if they did, the guild would be decimated. Out-honored guests and the judges would decide who faces who. Now let's begin. 4 hours passed in a blink of an eye. Currently, the audience was relatively less cheery looking at the battle stage. On the stage, a man wearing silver knight armor was mopping the floor with the youngster in brown leather armor. "Why aren't you surrendering?" Everyone heard the youngster in knight armor grunting. He lifted the golden-haired youngster by the neck and kept punching him in the face. "This has stopped being a battle a long time ago. Why isn't he surrendering?" Ishihara's voice didn't sound as cheery as always. She felt pity for the golden-haired youngster. It was obvious Andrews lacks real battle experience, but you don't need to be forged in a battlefield to realize when to back down and surrender. "You're right, James. Sir Galahar is offering the chance for Andrews to surrender." If anyone else was in Sir Galahar's shoes, Andrews might have lost his life by now. Why is he not surrendering? Claire's voice was filled with concern and pity. "Love," Michael mumbled under his breath, looking at Princess Catherine on the stage. The princess' clenched fist and shaking hands were obvious signs of her being in love with Andrews. Otherwise, why should a princess look so pale and gloomy looking at Andrews bleeding on the stage? Michael lived long enough to differentiate pity from love. The beating had been going on for almost half an hour. Michael was surprised by Andrews' ability to take the beating. At first, Michael thought he would lose consciousness after being beaten for 10 minutes, but he was proven wrong. After beating the crap out of Andrews, the knight started to lose his cool. He grunted before throwing Andrews a few meters away from him. Galahar's red-haired fluttered in the wind while the smile he wore on his face was nowhere to be seen. While losing his patience, Galar failed to notice Andrew grabbed the hilt of his sword lying beside him. Andrews rolled over to the side, hiding the sword in his hand from Galahar's eyesight. "I'm going to stop the fight." Imelda couldn't watch Andrews getting beaten to death anymore. She stood up from her seat, tears rolling down on her face. Cling. Pulch. Suddenly a sound of metal hitting metal reverberated in the arena, followed by the sound of flesh getting stabbed. Imelda wiped off the tears to make her eyesight clear. When her eyesight cleared, she saw Andrews hanging by Galahar's hand in the air, but Galahar had a sword sticking through his throat. Everything happened so fast. At first, Galar lifted Andrews by his neck, as usual. This time everyone thought Galar was gonna break Andrews' neck. In the heat of anger, Galar failed to notice the sword Andrews hiding behind his back. When Galar lifted Andrews up, Andrews used the momentum to stab Galar in the throat. Galahar let go of Andrews as he tried to get the sword out of his throat. However, the sword was too deep, and before he could muster enough strength to pull out the sword, Galahar's body gave up on him. He fell to the ground while blood gushed out of the throat. In a few moments, Galahar stopped moving once and for all. The coordinators landed on the battle stage. It was too late though. After checking for a pulse, the coordinators shook their heads. "Dead, Andrews. Winston wins." The crowd erupted into cheers the moment the coordinators announced. Many were still in shock, slowly letting the fact that Andrews, who was barely alive, was able to defeat a knight. Even Michael couldn't help giving a nod of approval at Andrews. "Give him a healing potion." Princess Catherine's sudden shout stunned everyone. But most of them thought it was a princess' gentle heart that made her care for Andrews. It was almost midnight when the Core Formation Stage Championship had only one fight remaining. Before announcing the last fight, yet again the coordinators awarded the audience with revitalizing pills for the crowd. Even without taking the pills, the crowd was so excited for the last fight because only 2 participants remained to battle, Ghost and Alex. Now it's time for the final battle of round 2, the battle everyone including myself is looking forward to. James Hall sounded excited, just like the crowd. Participants Ghost and Alex, please come to the battle stage. Ghost. 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 Alex. 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 Both the fans of Ghost and Alex shook the arena with their thunderous cheers. Soon the cheering turned into a competition of whose cheers sounded louder. Under their thunderous cheers, Michael and Alex landed on the battlefield with a smile on their faces. Alex took out a long golden spear from his back while Michael remained still. The coordinators flicked their wrists as Michael felt a warm air brushing past him. It was the runes placed on the battleground scanning him for hidden weapons or weapons with runes. Looking at Michael, Alex let out a cold smile. It's time we finish our little dispute. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 347. As Michael and Alex stood at the edges of the battle stage, the cheers dulled down. The crowd was too excited to cheer. Michael calmly remained with his hands folded. He didn't unsheath his dual swords. On the other side, Alex stood with his long golden spear in his hand. The spear was nothing that would scream craftsmanship, rather it was plain looking. The entire spear looked like it was made of gold, the long point looked extremely sharp and pointy. Despite its normal looking, Michael could sense the overwhelming power the spear was radiating. Since the participants were not allowed to use arch energy, Michael wouldn't be able to use responsive shield to protect himself from the spear. Luckily, Michael trained his sword mastery to 96% and serpent mega to 93%. Both these skills enabled him to move nimbly and at an extreme speed even without using arch energy. Can we get this over with? I have a championship to win. Michael sounded bored to everyone. Did you hear that, guys? He's so sure, Ishihara commented. There's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. We just need to wait and see which is which. James Hall answered Ishihara. Michael's words caused a commotion among the fans of Alex. Beat him. Beat him. Beat him. Beat him. Beat him. The Morningstar dispels and fans of Alex began to chant in unison while Michael remained calm despite their cheers. However, suddenly Michael's brows furrowed as he saw Alex remove the armor covering his chest. The spear remained still without falling down while Alex continued to remove his armor pieces one by one. Thud. Alex threw the armor pieces on the ground. Each time a piece hit the stage, the heavy metal produced a thud sound. You're kidding me? Michael was confused. What is Alex doing? Michael was not the only one who was confused. Even Ashira couldn't help asking the question. He's throwing away his advantage over Ghost and leveling up the field. Although Darius' words made sense, many couldn't believe Alex. After I kill you, I don't want people to say that I had an advantage. Alex coldly smiled. His words got amplified by the runes and sent a chill running through Ethan's spine. Diana clenched her fist while trying her best to control the killing intent from showing in her eyes. Kill me? Michael tilted his head, pretending to be shocked. You're not gonna beg for mercy and surrender, are you? As he snickered, Alex removed the last piece of armor that covered his abs. Throwing the armor onto the stage, he stood flexing his flawless smooth skin to the audience. Alex had a perfect upper body with six-pack abs, a chiseled chest, and perfectly placed muscles. Oh my god. So sexy. Sister Selena is really a lucky girl. Look at his abs, so smooth. With his silver hair fluttering in the wind and golden spear in one hand, Alex looked like a model for magazines. Many girls had sparkling eyes looking at Alex. Even men couldn't help feeling jealous of his body. Granted, cultivators had good bodies, but Alex had a magnificent body. It was obvious he was working out in addition to cultivating, or he wouldn't have gotten such perfectly sculpted muscles. "Let's start this," Alex taunted Michael to step forward. "Fight! Fight! Fight! Fight!" The crowd erupted yet again, seeing the both of them walking towards each other to fight. Unlike Alex, Michael still hadn't unsheathed his swords. Diana and Ethan moved to the edge of their seats as they didn't take their eyes away from Michael. Every single person in the arena, including those who remained in the strategic hall, came outside to see the battle. Alex made a mistake by removing his armor. He gave up the advantage he had over Ghost. That was the difference between Alex and Michael. Michael would have never let go of his advantage. Thus, Michael still had APD to inject him with the potions such as healing potions. Considering APD was made of junk metal and connected with the system, the runes didn't pick up the APD. As far as the committee and the coordinators were concerned, the APD was just a black bracelet Michael wore for style. When Michael and Alex got close, Alex stabbed the spear, aiming at Michael's chest. His thrust was so fast that it almost hit its target. With a sway of his body, Michael evaded the spear, yet Alex was quick enough to hit Michael with the staff. Following the staff attack, Alex roundhouse kicked Michael. Although Alex removed the armor above his waist, he still wore metal boots. Hence, when the kick landed on Michael's shoulder, Michael had pushed away a couple of meters while Michael felt his shoulder bones hurt. If the kick had a little more force and he didn't have APD, his shoulder would have been dislocated. Without giving a moment for Michael to breathe, Alex dashed at him with his spear pointing at Michael's throat. Everyone who saw Alex move knew it was not his intention to make Ghost surrender, but he wanted to kill him. Shaking his aching shoulder, Michael quickly evaded the spear's pointy end before hitting the spear on the shaft just below the blade using his other hand. Just when everyone thought Alex made a mistake by getting closer, Alex pulled back the spear and grabbed the spear in the middle. Chuck! 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 Alex started to attack Michael with a spear in his bare hand. Their clash produced continuous sounds as Michael felt like he was in a martial arts movie. Ouch, that has to hurt. After seeing Ghost and Alex exchange more than 40 blows in a minute, James Hall opened his mouth looking at the spear cut across Ghost's chest. Diana clenched her fist tighter as her nails started to sink in her palm. Blood spattered on the battle stage as Alex and Ghost continued to exchange blows. As time went by, more and more cuts appeared on Ghost's body. Still, they were at a stalemate that irritated Alex. Arg! Letting out a loud roar, Alex sent Ghost several meters back with a swift Spartan kick to his chest. He's good, even the system flattered Alex after their exchange of blows. In 2 minutes, they exchanged at least 100 kicks and punches. Both of them had sweat drops on their faces. Michael almost looked like a beggar with his long coat and turtleneck that had several cuts and holes. Thinking about surrendering? Yeah. Alex. 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 The thunderous cheers of Alex fans swept across the arena. The entire pavilion of Ghost's fans went silent looking at his state. Ethan was speechless as she stared at the bleeding cuts on Ghost with an aching heart. Ha 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 ha! Michael suddenly burst into laughter to everyone's surprise. His laughter reverberated in the arena, silencing the cheers. Guys, I'm confused. Why is he laughing? Just like everyone else, Ishihara was also confused. I don't know. James Hall shook his head. Did you think I was fighting you seriously? As he said, Michael flexed his shoulders as the long coat and sheaths that had his 2 swords fell off. The audience could now clearly see the definition of his muscles through the cut and torn black turtleneck. Diana saw Michael ripping off his already ripped and torn turtleneck, revealing his upper body. The moment she saw his body, she felt a chilling running through her spine. Unlike Alex's body, which was smooth and fine, Ghost's body was riddled with scars. Compared to Michael's muscle definition, Alex was nowhere close to him. Each and every muscle in Michael's body looked created separately and glued together to form a perfect muscular body. In addition to muscle definition, every muscle in Michael's body was bigger than Alex. Diana's heart ached to see the scars on his body. She couldn't even imagine what her son has to go through to get all those scars. Michael slowed down the healing potion injection through APD. He didn't want the coordinators to suspect him of using healing potions. If the cuts disappeared to the naked eyes, they would definitely suspect something amiss. Hence, Michael let the cuts hurt and bleed. The cuts weren't deep enough to mortally wound Michael, yet they were deep enough to make him bleed. Coupled with the blood and the scars, his body attracted all the gazes like a super magnet. The girls who had sparkles in their eyes when they saw Alex's body had flames of passion and desire in their eyes looking at Michael. If Alex was hot like fire, Michael was hot like lava that melted the young girls' hearts. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 4,000 badass points, ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 3,000 badass points. The notification sound went crazy inside his head. After upgrading his spells and skill, he had 50,000 points remaining, but at the moment, the points were flying past the mark of 150,000 and didn't seem to slow down. I was just playing with a kid who has a spear. As Ghost spoke these words, Alex's smile froze on his face. The next moment, Diana saw Ghost stomp the stage beneath him as the stomp made the swords lying on the ground fly straight into his hand. It seemed like he was controlling the sword using an invincible force. Cling! Michael brushed his two swords together as they produced a stream of golden red sparks. The broadcasting tunes focused on Michael's face to broadcast his smile and the giant mirrors. Let's end this. Sorry, I broke the chapter releasing pattern. I thought you guys and gals would love to see the fight. Let me know you want to see the fight in the very or after 2 Gaia chapters. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 348. Despite the blood dripping from the cuts on his chest and shoulder, Michael walked towards Alex with an amused grin on his face. Alex's biceps got bigger when he clenched the spear even tighter. This time Alex dashed at Michael with an extreme speed that many doubted it was even possible to move this fast without arch energy. From the beginning of the tournament, the arena never went silent, but at this moment, not a single sound could be heard in the arena. Even the commenters remained silent. All of the eyes were glued to Alex and Michael. It was the most anticipated scene that even made Norvin drop his fruit and stare at the fight. Just when the spear was a few inches away from Ghost's throat, he simply evaded the spear. However, he did not only evade at even greater speed but also knocked Alex on the head using the sword's hilt. Too slow, Michael snickered, making Alex immediately swing his spear. Yet again, the people saw Ghost evade the spear without breaking a sweat. This time Michael smacked Alex on the back with his sword's surface. Before even Alex could react to the first smack, he received another smack. The force of the smacks formed 2 red lines on Alex's flawless smooth fair skin. Michael was standing behind Alex, so Alex tried to hit Michael in the gut with the butt of the spear. He pulled the spear closer quickly. Ting! No matter how fast Alex moved, Michael simply swatted the spear with the flick of his sword. The clash between Michael's sword and Alex's spear produced sparks with a loud ting noise. Surrender now, Alex, Michael snickered before smacking Alex right on his face with his 2 swords. Alex was losing his cool because no matter how fast he moved, Ghost moved faster. The crowd was completely stunned by Ghost's speed. People who knew about swordsmanship were stunned by the level of sword mastery Michael was exhibiting. Especially the sword master of Aragoth, Daoist, was speechless. In his 70 years of training, he couldn't even come closer to the talent Ghost possessed in swords. Each of Ghost's moves seemed simple and elegant, yet only people like Daoist understood how difficult it was to do what he was doing. Unlike many commoners were thinking, a sword was not the most powerful blade weapon, it was the spear. Spear was far superior to sword, yet Ghost's mastery over the sword completely overshadowed Alex's spearmanship. It would take decades of hard work to master one-handed sword skills, except Ghost was only 21 years old and he seemed to have mastered dual wielding. If Darius wasn't older than Ghost and didn't have pride and ego, he would have asked Ghost to take him as his disciple. Coupled with the fact he couldn't even touch Ghost, his words made Alex mad. "I am giving you a chance, Alex." Thup. 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 Alex missed each swing of his spear but kept receiving smacks from Ghost's swords. Diana knew she had no right whatsoever to feel proud of her son, yet she did. To Ethan, every single move Ghost did remind himself of Harriet. "He's our son all right," a tiny teardrop formed in the corner of Ethan's eyes. Watching Ghost toying with Alex, Selena clenched her fist as veins on her forehead started to bulge out. Her entire body shivered in fury. "Son of Thup." This time Ghost smacked Alex right on his mouth. Alex's anger exploded as he swung the spear in a crescent shape only to miss Michael completely. Alex misjudged the athleticism of Ghost. When he swung the spear, Ghost just bent his back like his spine was made of rubber to evade the spear completely. The spear could only brush past Ghost's nose. Diddle diddle, Ethan felt a chill running through his spine when he heard these words escape Ghost's mouth. Harriet Hunt aka Diana used to recite a rhyme before she went for the kill. "He's gonna kill him." Claire's eyes went wide. She knew about Ghost's habit of reciting the small rhyme before killing someone. "We are so..." Alex saw Ghost's smile disappear from his face as he dashed at him. Alex tried to defend himself using his spear but ultimately failed because of Ghost's lightning speed. In a blink of an eye, Michael closed the gap between him and Alex. "Little no." Selena screamed standing on the Morningstar Pavilion. The moment the word little, Alex felt an excruciating pain in his heart and throat. The very next moment, the pain multiplied by several folds as Alex felt the grip he had on his spear loosen. He lost all of his strength. "Arg!" Alex blurted out, mouth full of blood. Under everyone's shocked gazes, Michael lifted Alex from the ground like skewered meat. The spear fell on the ground while Alex's blood oozed on Michael, bathing him in blood. Michael immediately twisted both the swords, leaving no chance for the coordinators to save Alex. Still, Michael didn't rely on this as he withdrew the sword that stabbed through Alex's throat. When he withdrew the sword, hot blood gushed out. Within a snap of time, he stabbed Alex right between the eyes, ending Alex's life once and for all. Coordinators. It took a few moments for everyone to come out of their daze, including the commenters and coordinators. Ishihara immediately stood from her seat while screaming at the coordinators. Michael was completely covered in the blood oozing out of Alex's wounds. He looked like the devil incarnate in many people's eyes. A few moments after Alex closed his eyes, the coordinators landed with haste on the stage. Still, Michael didn't put down Alex's body. Diana's heart skipped a beat seeing her son like this. This was the dark side of him that she never wanted to see. Only Ashton had a grin on his face seeing Michael like this. In the giant mirrors, the crowd started at Michael's face without batting an eye. The dark red blood oozed on his face, painting his face red. When he smiled, many felt like fainting. It was so terrifying for the weak-hearted. "You should warn your brother," Norvin said to Alicia with a grimace face. "And Andrews." As silence enveloped the pavilion, Diana's serious voice drew the attention of Alicia. Meanwhile, back in Gaia's cave, Noah was leaning on the cave's wall with folded arms. Gaia had black lines on her forehead after hearing Noah call her by her real name. She was still wearing the mask that Ghost gave her. Despite the mask, Noah found out her identity. She wondered how. Just when she thought she couldn't get into any more trouble, she fell into a deep pit of trouble. Among all the people, it had to be Noah who found her secret, a guy who not only connected to Guardians but also to her stepsister. In addition to her secret, he even saw the Hydra. Killing him would solve the problem, but Ghost warned her about Noah. At this moment, Gaia's instincts told her to heed Ghost's warning. "Your sister and the whole Nagaland thinks they crippled your cultivation. They are in for a rude awakening." Noah chuckled while Vidora quickly flapped their wings to land on Gaia's lap. A three-headed hydra, fancy, his words stunned Gaia. He sounded like he knew about Vidora species. You're a long way from Ghost, does he know you're here? Noah walked towards the two dead bodies of the panthers while still maintaining eye contact with Gaia. Of course, he doesn't. If he did, he wouldn't have sent you here. Especially if he knew, this was the place that took your mother away from you. You know your sister and father are pretty worried about you. Noah flicked his wrist as a green gourd appeared in his hand. On the other hand, Gaia couldn't bear to hear his nonsense anymore. Humph, worried? My loving sister threw me in jail while my father of the year crippled me. So pardon me for not believing the bullshit coming out of your mouth, ha ha ha. Unexpectedly Noah burst into laughter before pouring a green liquid from the gourd onto the dead bodies. Your sister is naive and your father, well, I don't talk ill about others, but your father is a piece of work. I mean, what kind of father would cripple his firstborn? Gaia was surprised to hear these words from Noah, but she sensed there's a but coming. But you did commit crimes such as bribery, assassinations, and my favorite, mass murders, as he said. Noah threw the gourd with the dead bodies before snapping his finger. When he snapped, a spark of fire appeared from his hand and shot towards the dead bodies. The moment the sparks met the liquid, dark green flames engulfed the dead bodies. If you think serial rapists who raped and killed hundreds of my people, massacred innocent people in cold blood deserve a second chance, you are just as naive as Zanali. Gaia stood up, gently putting Vidora on her shoulder. Since he saw them, there was no need to hide them anyways. Did you know when you burned the prison to the ground, there was one family who went to say goodbye to their father and one family went there to see their brother before leaving Nagaland, hoping to start a new life? Gaia's heart skipped a beat as Noah continued. One family had two 11-years-old kids and a mother, and the other had one 8 years old, two 15 years old and grandparents in their 60s. What did they do to deserve to be burned alive? If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 349, What are you talking about? Gaia grunted. She was unable to believe Noah. In her lifetime, she had never taken an innocent life. When she heard that she was responsible for killing several innocent people, she couldn't even breathe normally. Here, Noah flicked his wrist as a parchment appeared in his hand. He threw the parchment to Gaia. Her hands shivered. Mustering all the courage in every fiber of her body, she opened the parchment. The parchment had the crest of Nagaland, a cobra coiling around the golden dagger. Under the crest was a long list of names. She didn't need an introduction to those names. They were the names of people in the prison she burned down to the ground. Their names were in red, but when her eyes came to the end of the list, there were several names written in green ink. These names, she didn't recognize. That was the list created by your own elites, the team your mother formed. The crest on the top was proof enough for Gaia that this parchment was created by the elites. The crest might seem simple, but it was actually a rune, hence it was damn hard to forge it elsewhere. Only the elites had the knowledge to create the logo. The elites was a group of highly trained Nagas that only answered to the queen. They were the symbol of courage, mercy, justice, faith, power, and hope. Gaia's mother formed this elite group to protect the kingdom from threats inside and outside the kingdom. When she formed the group, she wanted Gaia to lead them in the future. But her untimely demise and Gaia's father's second marriage let Gaia's stepmother control the elites. Since the elites were bound by honor, they answered to Gaia's stepmother as she was the queen of Nagaland. A tear formed in each eye before falling onto the parchment. It was a tear of self-blame and shock. People think me as a self-righteous prick, but they fail to understand that I'm like this because I don't want to be the reason for an innocent to suffer, Noah said in a serious tone. Sometimes killing one evil becomes a reason for 100 more evil to emerge. And killing one innocent is like letting 100 evil triumph. Michael and Noah had completely different perspectives on this. As far as Michael was concerned, if killing 100 evil costs one innocent life, he would kill 100 evil. But if it was Noah, he would save that one innocent life at the cost of letting 100 evil go. Why are you telling her these? Iag couldn't bear to see Gaia sad. Don't even think about ratting her out. Ghost will kill you, Sarba snapped as he bore his teeth at Noah. However, Noah just smiled. If I wanted to rat you out, would have done it a long time ago. Ghost saved my sister and mother, I'm grateful to him. This is me returning the favor. No one will hear from me that you are Gaia. But if you want to hide your identity forever, you need to find a better mask. Or you will end up hurting him when the elites show on your doorstep someday. Gaia felt a chill running through her spine, but when she saw Ghost's smiling face in her mind, her fear and sadness disappeared. She trusted he would overcome anything. Unlike some girls who would only bring trouble to the guy, she wanted to stop all the troubles before they could reach Ghost. I bet you're not here to tell me this. Gaia finally took her gaze away from the parchment to look at Noah. Your father is dying. Gaia's heart skipped a beat yet another time when he dropped another bomb on him. Only thing that can save him is the heart of the five-headed serpent. And I guess you're here for that same five-headed serpent I'm looking for. If we look for the serpent in our own ways, we might end up getting killed, but if we combine our forces, we can get what we both want. What happened to him? Instead of responding to Noah's offer to work together, Gaia asked about her father. Someone poisoned him. Gaia couldn't help clenching her fist when a sudden burst of anger exploded within her. She hated her father, yet when she heard someone poisoned him, her blood boiled. I know you can't complete your Naga transformation without the heart dash. You can take it, Gaia interjected. Noah, this shall be my last filial act as his daughter. One day I will rub the fact I let him live on his face. Gaia put the parchment in her space ring instead of giving it to him back. Why are you here alone anyway? Where are your guardian buddies? Gaia leaned on the wall asking Noah. Although she asked casually, she wanted to learn more about Noah because she had a weird feeling about him. As far as she was concerned, he would die fighting the five-headed serpent with his core formation level 4 cultivation. In her mind, he would make a great distraction by being the five-headed serpent's snack. Where are we going next? Iag asked. Iag still didn't trust Noah, but she was not stupid to let go of help in this place. There is a city right in the center of the fire realm, Hell City, Noah said. Oh, so there is actually a city in this godforsaken place? Iag was surprised. She hadn't expected this at all. Hell City is a unique existence. Ancient devils will not enter the city no matter what. That's why it has become a gathering place for all humans and other races. Supposedly, this Hell City is the safest place in Fire Realm, and as long as you stay within the city, you won't have to worry about being attacked by beasts, and your safety will be guaranteed. The tunnel leading to the outside world only opens once a year, therefore, Hell City has become the most important place to protect. But now, it has become the most dangerous area in Fire Realm, no different than the deepest area of Fire Realm. How did that happen? Iag asked while Gaia remained silent, letting Noah do the explaining to Iag. She wanted to remain silent, facing the various emotions surging in her heart. Very simple. Where there are humans, there is trouble. In Fire Realm, you can find trouble anywhere. Between ancient beasts, between humans and other races, between humans and humans. Blood is spilled everywhere. There are no rules here, only raw slaughter. In order to survive in the Fire Realm, you need powerful strength. Right now, there are all kinds of bad and good people mixed in Hell City. Some are vicious criminals who were exiled here by one of the Great Nine clans, or some genius disciples from some big sect who's looking to forge themselves in the fire of real battle experience. When so many powerful people are mixed together in a single place, conflicts are inevitable, Noah explained. Cain carefully listened to every single one of his words. He could understand the situation here. There were no rules in Fire Realm, and the most important thing here was strength and ability. Without it, one would be nothing but prey to the strong. Although Hell City could help a person escape from the attacks of demons and devils, it couldn't help them escape from conflicts between humans. There might be something that instigated the trouble in the first place, Iag said. It's the damn Thusians. The word Thusians stopped Gaia's train of thoughts. The pain, the anger, the fury, and everything Ghost was feeling flashed across her mind. He gave a small taste of his emotions a long time ago, yet she could still feel everything like they happened to her. Thusians? They've been waging war on small factions and realms like this to bolster their power. Until recently they've been only targeting small factions, but now, they are waging war on many kingdoms in the Azer continent. It's only a matter of time before they start a war in Elon. Gaia began to worry about Ghost. She doubted he would do something suicidal, yet she wanted to be there with him. Now she wanted more than anything to get stronger. If she was weaker than him, she would just be a hindrance. After getting stronger, it would become a different story though. I thought it's your guild's job to stop wars, Gaia snickered. Guardians? I'm righteous, not stupid. They lost their purpose a long time ago. Now they are just corrupted politicians who wouldn't raise a finger without getting something in return. For a moment Gaia wasn't sure what she just heard. She never expected Noah to loathe the Guardians because he's one of them. Seeing the stunned look on Gaia's face, Noah smiled. I didn't join Guardians to earn millions of gold or get beauties. I have those. I joined Guardians because I want to reform them from the ground up. I owe it to someone. Just when Gaia was about to ask him something, Noah interjected. You want to ask why I'm telling you these, right? I'm telling you this because in the future I would like to work with Ghost to help the people. I know he's building his own empire and I want us to work together for the greater good. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 350. The Fire Realm had no sunrise or beautiful morning like in the outside world. The red sky just got brighter, indicating that the dark night has gone. When the cave got brighter, Gaia and Noah ended their meditation and stood up to leave the cave. Stay inside, Gaia warned Vidora, especially Iag, before putting them back into her saddlebag. They soon left the cave heading towards Hell City. Considering flying might attract the crows, they chose to walk. They both knew it would take a long time, but it was the safest way to reach Hell City without getting into any trouble. Hey, I still don't understand why people choose to come to this dump. Iag craned her neck up to peek outside. Most of them don't choose. 2/3 of the people here are criminals who were exiled from various kingdoms. Even Guardians sent the ruthless criminals here instead of putting them in prison, Noah said while walking in front of them. I thought criminals supposed to be in prisons. Prisons are expensive and a hassle to maintain. They would get overcrowded in a snap. Why can't the ruler sentence them to death? Because most of them are stupid, Gaia snickered, and stupidest ones believe those criminals deserve a second chance. Noah chose not to put his head into their conversation. I hope you have gold coins in your ring. I'm starving and I'd literally kill someone to eat, Iag complained. Gold coins means shit here, brat. What? Iag almost shouted. People deal in beast cores here. Don't worry, I'm sure the glass wraith core will be enough for us to survive and treat you to a meal. Good, because your hands are beginning to look real juicy. Iag let out a burst of evil laughter. Keep them hidden. Although many don't know their species, they would still hunt you down to sell them as an exotic pet or worse. They will capture them and do experiments. Iag frowned hearing Noah's words. The Guardians have a safe house in Hell City. Well, get a takeaway. Whoa, slow down. I'm not gonna stay in a Guardian safe house. What if it's a trap? Gaia stopped following Noah, then rent a tavern and stay there. If I wanted to capture you, I just need to tip the elites and they will do the rest. Hell City was located right in the center of Fire Realm. It was a huge city that covered more than a few hundred miles in circumference. It looked like a historical city with dulled colors, scars, and marks everywhere. It was the remains of time, which proved that Hell City had been around for a long period of time. At least, it had been here since the discovery of the Fire Realm. No fights from here, Gaia wanted, patting the saddlebag. Just get me something to eat, Iag whispered silently. I will now shut up, Gaia yelled at Iag as they walked towards the city's main gate. Hell City's main gate was actually a huge breach on the city wall, and it didn't fit the standards of a city gate. When Noah got closer to the main, his expression became a focused one, and a grin emerged on his face. Why are you grinning? Gaia asked. She was kinda familiar with Noah's expression. Every time Ghost got something good, he would smile just like this. She didn't want to admit it, but Ghost and Noah seemed the same and opposite at the same time. There are hidden treasures in this city, I can sense it. Instead of hiding the truth, Noah told her the truth. You can sense treasures? What kind of treasures? The kind that helps our fight with the five-headed serpent easier, Noah said to Gaia. I was thinking about why those beasts don't attack Hell City. There must be some reason behind it, and perhaps it's related to this hidden treasure. He continued, we must get it before someone else does. Noah's eyes lit up. Don't get too excited. If no one unearthed the treasure to this day, it must be guarded or hidden carefully. I doubt with our current strength and abilities, we can get it. Gaia dampened Noah's enthusiasm. I'm lucky. Noah smiled. Luck? Are you fucking kidding me? We can't depend on luck. You know what Ghost said about luck, what? Noah asked. He said that I don't believe in luck, I believe in hard work. Stop right there. Right at this moment, a group of 10 middle-aged men leaped out from the dark bushes on their path, blocking Gaia and Noah. This is a robbery. You two, hand over all your belongings now. If not, we will take it from your corpses. A man with a ferocious scar on his face threatened them. Gaia looked at the 10 men frowning. They were all at core formation stage 10. It was true that they were 10 and they were 2, and in normal situations, 10 core formation stage warriors had a higher chance to defeat the core strengthening stage cultivator if they fought with coordination. However, Gaia and Noah were not normal, they were 2 abnormal monsters. Looking at them, Noah burst out into laughter. Pretty good luck for them to bump into some robbers right as they arrive in the city. These 10 men had pretty strong cultivation bases, therefore he knew they would have more monster cores with them. Fuck you luck Noah, welcome to Hell City. I heard about bandits in Hell City. Some people group together and hide outside the main gate, and when they see someone with weaker cultivation bases or loners like us, they will strike and rob them. I also heard these men are really smart, they know about all the alliances, and their strengths, in detail. They know who can be offended and who can't be offended like the back of their palm. However, it seemed like today was their bad day. Noah still had his usual calm smile on his face. If you give everything you steal, I will go easy on you. You know it'll be hard to survive in Fire Realm with broken bones and no monster cores. Noah shrugged his shoulders, then he looked at Gaia. He could tell she was ready to take out her bow and kill them on the spot. Broken bones? Since you shitheads decided to rob me, I'm gonna rob you and send you to another hell. The 10 men were startled to hear Gaia. Despite her cultivation base, the 10 of them were underestimating her because she was a girl. They didn't know what she's capable of. The superiority of numbers on their side blinded their eyes. What the fuck? How could a bitch be so aggressive? Hey, what the fuck? We are the ones robbing you, not the other way around. Look carefully at the current situation and the difference between our strengths. Hurry up, hand over all your belongings, and we will spare your lives. If not, well, it's perfectly normal for people to die in Fire Realm. Let's kill him and keep the bitch alive. She could entertain us for a few days. It has been so long I felt the touch of a woman. Noah turned to see Gaia shivering in anger. She was already in a bad mood by hearing the truth about the innocent people she killed, the state of her father, and him finding out her true identity. These guys just poured oil into her flaming fury. Are you sure you want to piss her off more than you already have? Noah asked, rubbing his temples. Damn it, looks like these idiots don't even know how to judge a situation. Let's teach them a lesson. Brothers, let's do it, strip everything they got and kill him. We can keep the girl alive, the man who looked like the leader of this group shouted out loudly. 6 men dashed towards Noah while 4 picked Gaia as their target. They dashed at Gaia, licking their lips. Poison flame. Gaia didn't even try to hide her spells. She just went straight for the killing move. As far as she was concerned, Noah could run away or die of poisoning. The 4 who dashed at Gaia were stunned to see the emerald green smoke coming out of her mouth. However, it was too late, as what they thought was a cloud of gas turned out to be a poisonous flame. Noah didn't expect her to cast such a powerful spell in such a short time too. He dashed away to avoid the flame. The emerald green mixed with her poison was too powerful, as the 4 bandits melted in a few blinks of an eye. The other 6 were stunned to see their colleagues die such a horrible death in such a short time. Just as they were stunned, 2 silver arrows materialized in Gaia's hands. Die motherfuckers! She leaped into the air before landing in front of 2 bandits who were a couple of meters away from their colleagues. When they realized she was in front of them, she stabbed the arrows straight into their throats. Die, die, die. She withdrew the arrows as blood gushed out of their throats, yet she continued to stab them again and again. The blood gushed out from their bodies, painted her fair skin and the silver dress red. Zanali was right. She is a murdering psychopath. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts, as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 351. After spending a day without going anywhere enjoying the tournament, the crowd finally got a 6 hours break. Of course, the crowd was reluctant to leave, as the tournament was getting better and better by rounds. Unlike the last tournament where the participants had to find their own room, which led to unnecessary battles and enmity, this time the tournament committee gave room for each participant in their own expenses. At the moment, Michael was sitting in a lavish room. The large bed on the left side corner was neatly tied like in 5-star hotels. The room smelled of jasmine and freshness. In addition to the bed, several pieces of furniture such as a large round table, sofas, and 7-feet mirrors were neatly arranged to make the room cozy yet spacious. The golden rays of light coming from the majestic chandelier lit the room as Michael was sitting in front of the round table, flaunting his muscular upper body. Damn it, I need to fix this before going to bed. Michael looked at the broken pieces of APD lying on the table. He was still drenched in the blood of Alex. When he fought with Alex, the APD got broken by Alex's spear. It was nothing but broken pieces of junk metal. And where is this lizard? He cursed after waiting for Nightmare to show up. After waiting for half an hour, he could kinda guess that the dragon had fallen asleep with Claire. After the battles, he reeked of blood. He liked to take a shower now more than anything else, but unfortunately, the room had no shower, as the cultivators used arch energy to clean their bodies. Although using arch energy was efficient and not tiresome, Michael used to take showers. His mind always calmed when standing under the shower, letting the water droplets wash the blood and his tension away. The most he could do at the moment was wipe off the blood from his body and use the arch energy to clean himself. Fuck, I have no healing potion left, Michael cursed, looking into his system storage. It had been so long until he restocked the 90% pure healing potion in his system storage. He was pretty busy dealing with Guardians and Hades. Okay, I will fix the APD first and then brew a new batch of healing potions, Michael thought in his mind. Sliding the chair back, he seated himself. A few deep breaths made him feel slightly rested. That snake better come back to me in one piece, Michael mumbled while cleaning the blood off of his arms. Usually, she would take care of him by giving him playful massages and cleaning the blood off of places he couldn't reach. Knock. 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 His train of thoughts regarding Gaia's whereabouts got interrupted by a trio of gentle knocks on the door. He willed the system to show him the environmental map as he saw 3 figures waiting outside the door. He activated his X-ray eyes to see 2 female figures and 1 male figure. One of the women was at the core strengthening stage level 6, which caused a frown to form on Michael's forehead. Who is there? Michael asked while pulling the swords on the table closer to him. It's. The man outside opened his mouth, changed his mind, then closed his mouth. Ghost, it's Diana Winston. When Michael heard the familiar voice, he was surprised. However, after giving some thoughts about Andrew's situation, he just sighed. Ghost wanted to say give me a minute so he could put on a robe to cover his body, yet the man opened the door quickly. It was more like he barged in. Michael would have sent a bolt of lightning through the man if he didn't know Diana. The man who abruptly opened the door was a dashing man who seemed to be in his mid-30s or late 30s. He was wearing a rainy cloud gray V-neck shirt that covered his obvious chiseled chest. On top of the V-neck, he draped on a long white fur coat that looked cozy. His black pants contradicting the white coat still formed an unusual alliance to make him look stunning. Just like Michael, the man sported a stubble beard. His shoulder-length black hair wasn't too neatly combed nor too messy. His bright blue eyes stared at Michael while his facial muscles twitched to form a gentle smile. The man seemed to have inherited all the good genes to be born with a perfect jawline and a handsome face. It was obvious the man was Diana's husband, Lord Ethan Winston. There was something different about Diana though. Michael couldn't put his finger into it, but he knew something's different about her other than her shocking jump from core formation stage to core strengthening stage level 7 in such a short amount of time. Everyone had their own secrets, thus Michael chose not to mind her secret of such heaven-defying cultivation speed. Beside Diana was standing Imelda, the elder sister of Diana. For some reason, she was avoiding direct eye contact with Michael. Lord Ethan, I presume. Michael reached his hand out to shake, but Ethan remained still, looking speechless. Ethan, Diana stepped forwards before putting her hand on Ethan's shoulder. Yeah, her touch quickly brought Ethan back from his daze. Ghost. Ethan shook his hand, but to Michael's surprise, he suddenly embraced him. What's happening? Michael mumbled, being squeezed by Ethan. Ethan, let him go. Imelda squealed. It's just he wants to thank you for everything you did for us. He's just feeling a little bit emotional. Diana tried to make the situation less awkward for Ghost. She didn't want Ghost to become suspicious of them. You're getting blood on your coat, Lord Ethan, Ghost said as Ethan finally realized what he had done on impulse and let Michael go. Please, take a seat. Michael gestured at Ethan and the ladies towards the sofa beside them. He then quickly took a towel to wipe off the blood from his body. After they seated themselves on the sofa, Michael pulled the wooden chair and sat backward on the chair. Congratulations for getting yourself allied with the Kane family, Ghost. Diana smiled. Yeah, after what happened to Alex, it would be good to have an ally like Kane family behind you. Ethan nodded after Diana. After Michael killed Alex, everyone thought Ghost was done for, as Alex was the next heir to the Fisher family. However, as promised, Ashton personally came to the battle stage and announced that Ghost would be the best man for Adam Kane at his wedding. In addition to announcing this, Ashton also made sure everyone understood that Ghost is Kane's family and his personal friend. Hence, even if the Fisher family tried to avenge Michael by trying to kill him, they would face the wrath of the Kane family, which would soon ally with House Oswin to become the strongest family in the royal land. Selena fainted on the spot after screaming out loud Alex's name. The Morningstar sect brought her away from the battle stage before another battle between Ghost and Selena exploded. The Morningstar sect had already lost a star disciple and they didn't want to lose Selena too. Many people, including some disciples of Morningstar, sided with Ghost though, since he did give Alex the chance to surrender. Moreover, everyone knew Alex was going to kill him and never would have given Ghost the chance to surrender. The coordinators who oversaw the battle were going to end up biting the bullet, as the committee would blame them for not stopping the battle before Ghost killed Alex. Well, Alex didn't give me any choice, did he? Michael was still cleaning the blood off of his arms while talking to them. He had no idea that he was talking to his father, mother, and aunt. They were his family. Diana and Ethan wanted to hug him tight as they could and say he's their son. But how could they do that? They abandoned him. At least Diana was thinking she had abandoned him. However, only Imelda knew what really happened that night when Noah and Ghost were born. Every scar Diana saw on his body squeezed her heart. It felt like someone slowly stabbing her heart with a rusty nail. His body was riddled with scars. Both the scars he got from the earth and the scars Abra's got started to appear on his body. He could remove those scars with the help of a potion, but Michael wanted them to remain as they were because it reminded him of all the pain, struggles he went through in his life. I doubt you left your security detail to come here to talk about Alex, Ghost asked with a sliver of a smile on his face, while Michael was wiping off the blood from his right chest. Ethan noticed a J-shaped burn wound on Ghost's skin. That burn wound seemed nastier than his other scars. It was almost a couple of inches inside Ghost's skin. This one? Michael looked at the scar on his right chest. It brought some bad memories back before his eyes. If anyone else asked about it, Michael wouldn't have answered, but since Ethan and the Winston family could be another ally for him, he chose to answer them. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts, as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 352, I got this scar when I was 9 years old. Michael touched the scar. I'm not gonna tell my sad story, but let's just say, liquid hot metal is bad for skin. Michael didn't want to say the drug dealers poured hot liquid metal on him because he dropped a pack of cocaine when he was smuggling it under his shirt. He still remembers the pain vividly. He cried so hard that after lasting for a couple of minutes, he lost consciousness. When he woke up the next day, he had a crude badge wrapped on his chest. The drug dealers wouldn't care about his health, they just wanted him to stay alive so they could use him as a mule in the future. Until he was 14 years old, he lived the life of a child slave. Hence his hate for slavery. Who did this to you? Ethan felt the air around him suddenly getting chilly. If Michael was good at hiding his killing intent, Diana was a master at it. Only because Ethan knew her so well that he could sense the killing intent. To Michael, it seemed like she was asking the question having no intention behind it. They are all dead, he said. When Imelda opened her mouth, changed her mind, and closed her mouth. Why are you here, Lord Ethan? He asked with a smile. He wanted to know what they want, even though he knew it would be related to Andrews. Unexpectedly, it was Imelda who answered Michael quickly before Ethan or Diana could open their mouths. Michael turned his gaze at the worried face of Imelda. Is that so? Michael stopped wiping off the blood as he put the white towel around his neck. But what can I do? I already saved him once. You can't expect me to save him every time he gets into trouble. Even if I wanted to, I can't do anything now. Although Ghost still had a calm smile on his face, Ethan could see the coldness in his eyes. If Andrews got in his way to get the championship, there was no doubt that Ghost would do the worst to Andrews in a heartbeat. But I am sorry, Lady Imelda, if you really want to help Andrews, talk to him. When he comes to the final to face me, if he wants what he's fighting for, he should give his all to beat me. His words and tone were not neither too polite nor rude, it was a warning. The images of a 7 feet tall man in full black metal armor holding a war hammer flashed across Imelda's eyes. These were the flashes she wanted to forget. These were the images that kept her away for so many years. There were the images that gave nightmares to her. These were the images the Sky Hall showed her, the Dark Lord. She didn't want to believe her sister's son would be the Dark Lord, yet she couldn't help seeing the flashes of the Dark Lord in Ghost. We are not here to ask you to lose the final, Ghost. We just don't want anything to happen to Andrews. Diana placed her hand on Imelda's shoulder, wordlessly telling her to calm down. Can we talk honestly, Lady Diana, Lord Ethan, Lady Imelda? That's what we want, Ethan quickly said. Even if he couldn't be a father to Ghost, he at least wanted to be a good friend to him. The night Andrews killed, what about him? What about his family? There's no right or wrong in this world. Everyone's the hero in their own story who does what's necessary to get what they want, just like Andrews did. The three of them had no words to rebuke. After all, Andrews did kill the knight. If Andrews wants to get what he wants, there is only one way. Michael paused. What is that? Imelda asked after a couple of moments of awkward silence. Simple. He just has to kill me. Michael shrugged while the trio was stunned to hear his words. Because he can't break me or make me surrender. Diana knew very well what her son is capable of long before Ethan and Imelda. However, since the two of them saw what he did to Alex and how easily he killed Alex, they knew there's no chance in hell for Andrews to defeat Ghost. To the last round, no one could guess his real power. Except for his cultivation level, none knew what he was capable of. Even Michael did not know how powerful he is right now after upgrading all of his spells. He had spent 300,000 badass points to become immune to all the attacks of a core formation stage warrior. According to the system, he could even fight with a level 3 core strengthening stage warrior without losing. What would you do to him? Imelda asked after taking a couple of long breaths. There are ways to win the round without killing the opponent, Lady Imelda. Michael smiled, which sent a chill running through Imelda's spine. She should have felt better after hearing his answer, but something caused her to be worried about Andrews more. Master Go Dash. Suddenly Ricky entered the room only to be shocked by the three of them. Forgive me, Master Ghost. I didn't know you were with guests. Ricky gave a small bow towards Ethan, Diana, and Imelda. It's okay, what's the matter? Ghost was glad Ricky interrupted their conversation. It was obvious their love for Andrews would eventually lead them to ask for something he couldn't offer them. Although Ethan and Diana didn't seem like typical lord and lady, Michael still didn't want to take a chance in pissing them off, especially after knowing Noah's secret. There's someone here to meet you. She seems like she won't leave until she meets you. Ethan let out an awkward weird grinning. He was thinking about his son having a one-night stand. It was pretty normal for boys like him to enjoy the company of beauty from time to time. However, Diana frowned. Just looking at Ghost's face, she could tell he was surprised. Moreover, Diana heard about how deeply he and Elia are in love. It seems like we have to take our leave. Imelda quickly stood up. She was too freaked out by Ghost as she wanted to get out of his sight as quickly as possible. She almost pulled Diana by her hands while Ethan walked towards Ghost. Michael also stood up to send them on their way. When Ethan got closer, he put his hand on Michael's shoulder. Take care of yourself. Just as these words escaped Ethan's mouth, a warm sensation brushed past Michael as he felt refreshed. He looked down to see all the bloodstains were gone. You too, Lord Ethan. Michael nodded. If Michael had known the man in front of him was his father, he would have reacted differently. Right at this moment, Ethan was a caring man in Ghost's eyes. After the trio left Michael's room, he put on a black full-sleeve V-neck t-shirt and rolled the sleeves up to his elbow. He was looking at his face in the mirror while whistling some random tone that came to his mind. Suddenly though, his whistling stopped as his brows creased. He sensed a powerful entity approaching him. He willed the system to show the environmental scanning map to see an overwhelmingly powerful entity slowly walking towards him. The moment something goes wrong, buy and activate the teleportation scroll system, as you wish, the system replied to his telepathic order. He didn't turn back to see the door but took the swords in his hands just in case. In a couple of moments that lasted longer than he liked, a figure draped in dark brown robes entered the room. The figure was covered from head to toe as there wasn't a spot that showed the figure's skin. The darkness provided by the hood and cloak completely hid the face, but not for long as the figure slowly removed the hood covering their head. Layla Alden. Michael looked at the beautiful face staring at him in the mirror. Ever since he came to this world, he had seen countless beauties, yet Layla was the only one who could challenge Gaia in terms of beauty. This woman had the womanly grace that Gaia lacked. Divine wrath. In a blink of an eye, Layla raised her hand, sending a powerful blast of golden energy at Michael. Lightning dash. Despite Michael's quick reflexes, the golden energy blast hit him, yet he felt nothing. Layla's cold expression soon took a turn to show the expression of utter shock. The mirror behind Michael obliterated into millions of light specks when the energy blast hit the mirror. After all these times, she hoped she could hurt him, unlike when she was inside the treacherous ocean. But she was proven wrong. He still seemed to be immune to her attacks. Regardless of her bitter understanding, she wanted to cast another spell. Yet when she moved her lips, she felt cold metal on her throat as she saw a ghost standing only a couple of inches away from her. She could feel his hot breath on her face. Do that again if you want me to cut Andrews into pieces. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts, as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 353 Good vs. Evil. A few moments after keeping the sword against her flawless throat, Michael threw the swords on the bed. No matter how powerful she was, she wouldn't be able to hurt him, he knew that. Hence, he didn't feel threatened by her, not even a bit. It was a good mirror, a pity Michael kicked the pieces of broken mirror away before stomping the ground. The force of his stomp made the chair lying on the ground stand straight as he sat looking at Claire. He then put his legs on the table before him. "How did you know?" Layla asked him in a cold voice. "A body-strengthening stage cultivator suddenly became core formation level 2 and you show up at my doorstep." I connected the dots and made a guess. "It seems like I was right." Michael leaned back on the chair supporting his head with his hands. "Why are you here, Layla?" "You know you can't hurt me." "Yes." Layla stepped forward. Looking directly into his eyes, she snapped her fingers as the door shut close. "I don't know why I can't hurt you, but that doesn't mean I can't hurt you at all." For the first time, Michael saw her smile. Yet it was not a smile that radiated warmth. On the contrary, it was cold. "You really seem to care about what's her name, the little one, Cindy. I can't start with her, then kill your precious girlfriend." She walked towards the window with her hands behind her back. "I'd probably become tired and finish off your entire sect. Their deaths will be quick and painless, after all, they don't deserve a painful death as you do. Then you might feel how I feel after you took my purity." She turned back to see Ghost's expression. She hoped to see him become enraged, yet all she saw was a calm smile. "Obviously I can't stop you if you want to do everything you said. However, what I can do is remain patient. If I put my mind to it, I can be patient for years, decades, even centuries." As he was speaking, he took one sword and brushed it using the other sword. He seemed like a butcher sharpening his cleaver. "I'll wait for you to forget about me and become happy. Then when you are laughing and being really happy, I will come for you. I will start with you precious disciples first, then everyone on your island, then everyone you care about, next everyone who cares about you, and cherry on top, everyone you know. And all of their deaths will be long and painful." Layla's heart shuddered. She could feel that he meant every single word he spoke. "Finally, when you feel utter despair, when your heart becomes numb seeing all those deaths, when you want nothing but death, I will kill you. And I can get really creative when it comes to killing people." The smile he let out after finishing his words sent a chill running through her spine. She had never sensed such evilness from a person ever before. It seemed like the Devil King himself was sitting in front of her. "You are not a human, you're a demon child." "Ha ha 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 ha, demon child?" Michael let out a burst of devilish laughter that echoed through the room. "Honey, sometimes Devil himself sits back on his throne and admires my work. In his fucking competition." Layla opened her mouth, changed her mind, and stood in silence. For a few moments, she couldn't utter a word. "I may not be evil like you, but what made you think I care about Andrews?" Layla asked. Her cold tone didn't change at all. "Because you belong to the category of good people. If you weren't one, you wouldn't have been playing the mysterious doctor in Royal Land, tending to the sick and weak." Seeing the smirk on his face, Layla felt her anger boiling within her. She wanted nothing but to hurt him. Nonetheless, she knew he was right. She was not nearly as evil as him. In her whole life, she helped people, never hurt them. "When Andrews step onto the battle stage, I will break him. The final isn't going to be an interesting one, it's going to be one-sided ass-kickery." "Humph," she snickered. "He will defeat you because he's fighting for love. True love can overcome anything." Ha 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 ha. She clenched her fist so hard seeing him burst into laughter yet again as her nails started to plunge into her soft skin. "True love can overcome anything? Ha 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 ha. Are you delirious? Honey, love means shit in front of power. I am gonna show it to you in the finals, you devil. Don't you have any feelings at all? You never showed any feelings when you took my purity. You never even flinched an eye when I told you I would kill the people who care about you. Do you even care about anyone in this world other than yourself?" Her words get colder and colder. For a few moments, Michael remained silent as she went on. "You act as if you care about those people but you don't give a damn about them. You are putting up a facade to hide the darkness inside you. You want everyone to believe you're a human yet you're not 1 inch. You're here to make a report on me?" Michael tilted his head. "I'm gonna stop you. Until I came here, I was just returning a favor." But now, I'm going to do everything in my power to help Andrews win the championship. I'm gonna take this championship away from you. She stomped the ground as the bits and pieces of mirror brushed past Michael, giving him a warning. At this moment, she would do anything to wipe off that smirk from his face. After this conversation, she almost went back on her decisions that would change her life forever. Poor guy is gonna end up as collateral. Michael really felt pity for Andrews. In the game between him and Layla, it's Andrews who was going to end up hurt. As far as Michael was concerned, no matter what Layla does, he had the system with him. After upgrading the skills and spells, he was basically a god among core formation warriors. In the battle between good and evil, good always wins. Remember this, as she said, she flicked her wrist as a golden ray of light enveloped her body. The light was so bright that it made Michael close his eyes. When he opened his eyes after a couple of seconds, she was nowhere to be seen. Is she watching too many dramas or something? Michael snickered. After Layla left, Michael focused on fixing the APD and brewing another batch of healing potions. The two tasks took almost 2 hours as he went to bed way past midnight. His brain and body screamed at him to take a rest. He could have meditated like the rest of the world, but he chose to sleep like he's used to. Even after coming to this world, he maintained some of the habits of the earth, such as showering, sleeping, and enjoying every earthly pleasure he could. Despite breaking several people's bones, brutally killing Alex and challenging Layla, when he closed his eyes on the bed, he slept like a baby. The next morning, the curtains added an orange glow to the morning light, every morning a perfect sunrise. The brightness of the morning made him slowly open his eyes. The scenery reminded Michael of the times he slept in a beach hut, watching the ocean emerge under the golden shimmer. For a moment his mind conjured the rhythmic waves, soft on the sandy shore, and felt his heartbeat at the same slow pace. He breathed in deeply. A new day in this world had begun. He reached his hand out to the fabric, noticing how up close the light pours through every open space between fibers, no different from how it once came through the beach hut walls, illuminating like brilliant fireflies each dawn. The material was warm beneath his fingers, and when the sun flooded the room, painting the colors anew, he felt a little of those golden rays soak into his skin. Getting up from the bed, Michael willed the system to give him the leather pouch that contained water. After leaving the bed, he continued his usual schedule, such as brushing his teeth, combing his hair to look good in the mirror when beating the crap out of people. Since they had no shower, he cleaned himself using the arch energy before putting up a new black turtleneck, a new long coat, and a new pair of boots. Without a worry, he bought everything from the system as he had thousands of badass points to spend. Although he bought a new long coat, he cut the embodiment Gaia stitched in his torn long coat and attached it to the new coat with the help of the system. It might not look like AG as she intended it to look, but it reminded Michael of Gaia. Unlike Layla said, he cared about people, especially Gaia. There wasn't a single minute passed by without him missing the snake. He gently brushed the embodiment on his chest as a smile emerged on his face. Soon, the smile turned into a snicker. We will meet soon, young master, ha 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 ha. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 354. The arena was louder than the first day. Everyone thought the first round would be boring, yet all of them were proven wrong. Because of Ghost, everyone was thrilled to witness the core formation tournament rather than the body-strengthening one. As the time passed by, the crowd was settling into their seats. Just in a couple of minutes, the entire arena was filled once again. There wasn't a single empty chair in the arena. Welcome back to the championship tournaments, ladies and gentlemen. Ishihara's sweet voice echoed through the arena. Without further ado, let's get into the structure of the third round, James Hall commented, looking at Darius. As you all know, 20 participants qualified for the third round. Among the 20, just like the second round, we will have one-on-one battles. 10 participants will face the other 10. The winners will be qualified for the quarter-final. Darius stopped commentating for a few moments to let the information sink into their heads. Until now, the rounds were designed to simulate the environment of the southern continent. Moving forward, the participants won't be restricted from using spells, pills, and potions. In a real battle, you must use every opportunity to enhance your prowess. A single potion might decide the outcome of a battle between two equally powerful cultivators. Darius started to explain the rules and regulations of the third round. Can't hear truer words. When two cultivators at the same cultivation stage and level fight, what would decide the victory is who has a better spell, who has a better weapon, and who has better armor. You'd either need money or luck to get better things. It's not fair for everyone, but life's not fair. Michael leaned on the wall, listening to James Hall's words. What he said was indeed true, life is not fair. He agreed with everything James Hall said except the part where he made it seem like one could get anything with money or luck. It was not true at all, because without hard work, money and luck meant shit. When Michael came to this world he had nothing, now he had an empire in the making. Of course, the system played a crucial role, but even if he hadn't gotten the system, he would have still reached the top. What system he had when he became the #1 hitman in the world? After recent events, the tournament committee decided to put a healing array on the battle stage, Darius said. His words caused a commotion among the crowd. Some knew about the healing array while most of the commoners didn't even hear about a healing array before. Can you explain to people like me who have no idea what you are talking about, Darius? Ishihara chuckled. It performs a simple action actually. It'll keep the participants from dying. If you're badly injured and only a few inches away from walking into the death's door, the healing array will provide just enough healing to keep you alive until help arrives. After Darius explained about the healing array's function, Ishihara questioned, what about killing blows? If a participant tried to cleave the head off of another participant, will the healing array stop him or her? Preventing that from happening is the coordinator's job. Although sometimes death is inevitable in competitions like this, we still need to do everything in our power to stop the participants from killing each other. This is a competition, not a gladiator arena. Darius looked at the Morning Star Pavilion and Sunrise Sect Pavilion when he spoke those words. It was obvious he was telling this to Ghost and Selena, who was burning in rage. The commentators gave the crowd a few moments to chit-chat and become silent. After the noises died down, they moved on to the next thing. Our VIPs and judges will determine who fights who. Michael smiled. As a small favor for killing Alex, Michael already told Ashton who he wants to fight. However, unlike his battle with Alex, the upcoming battle wouldn't be very long. Michael was thinking of wiping the floor with his opponent. Through the crowd cheering in front of him, Michael saw Layla standing among the commoners with her cloak covering her face. Since no one could see a person's cultivation level anymore, the people were thinking that Ashton was the only fusion stage cultivator in the arena. We will name the participants who will face each other. Please come to the battle stage after hearing your name, Ishihara said. Everyone who was seated leaned forward in anticipation. All of their eyes were on the commentators to see who they were going to call first. Maurice from Aragoth and Sabrina from Holy Trident Academy. The crowd erupted hearing the names. Both Aragoth and Holy Trident were prominent sects in their continents. Aragoth was on par with either of the three big sects in Elon, while Holy Trident Academy was one of the powerful sects for girls in Azer continent. Michael wasn't even slightly interested in the battle regardless of knowing Sabrina. As Sabrina and Maurice, who was a brown-haired youngster in his late 20s, walking towards the battle stage, the runes captured everyone's expressions and broadcasted them in the giant mirrors. Ghost. 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 Despite the battle being between Sabrina and Maurice, when the mirror broadcasted Michael's face, the crowd let out thunderous cheers. Even Michael was surprised by their cheers. It seems like they are really loving what I'm giving them. The badass points rapidly increased without even him lifting a finger. Man, I love this tournament, he reminded himself. Standing on the opposite side of the arena, Andrews sulked seeing the response Ghost was getting. The battle prowess and brutality he showed during the fight with Alex made Andrews shudder. Yet he knew he couldn't back down. The only thing that kept Andrews calm was the promise Layla Alden made to him. Although Ghost was powerful, Andrews had some things that Ghost lacked: a supportive family behind him and true love. Andrews believed his love would give him the strength to defeat Ghost if he was to meet him on the battle stage. Let the battle begin. When Sabrina and Maurice reached the battle stage, the commentators announced. The cheers died down as the crowd stared at the fight, making less noise. After the response Michael's last fight received, the tournament committee put Ghost's fight at last. This kept the crowd on the edge of their seats. Each fight lasted longer than everyone expected. Hence, by the time for the last fight of the core formation stage, the sun had already fallen into the horizon, letting the darkness paint the sky black. Ghost. 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 The crowd couldn't wait any longer as they started to chant the name Ghost. Except for Morningstar fans, everyone else joined in the chant to produce thunderous cheers for Michael. It was evident that after this tournament, everyone would come to know the name Ghost if they hadn't heard it before. Plus, he would become an exception among the alchemists. Never before in the history of the championship tournaments has an alchemist won the title. After all, alchemists were believed to be weak in combat, just like the other specialists such as rune masters, healers, blacksmiths. On the VIP seatings, Alicia was shaking her legs as she felt extremely nervous despite her efforts to stay calm. Norvin liked to annoy Alicia all the time, but at this moment, even he stayed quiet. Everyone who loved Alicia shared the same nervousness. Finally, after so much wait, James Hall announced the next battle as the crowd erupted and jumped up from their seats in excitement. Peter Stone and Ghost, please come to the battle stage. Even James Hall rushed the name, announcing as he never even said the name Sunrise Sect. Alicia's heart shuddered. She looked up to see her brother landing on the battle stage. She searched the sky for Ghost. It took her several seconds to see him slowly descending onto the battle stage. His black long coat fluttered in the wind as he still wasn't in battle armor but wore his usual black clothes. When Michael landed on the battle stage, he ignored all the cheers and focused his gaze on Peter. Although Michael stunned everyone with his power, Peter seemed indifferent. He seemed like he was bored. I always knew Alex was just all bark and no bite. Peter sounded extremely prideful. He never even showed a shred of respect towards Alex. Even Michael respected Alex as a warrior. If these words were spoken by someone else, the crowd would have become crazy and booed Peter. However, they all witnessed Alex's battles. Peter held the highest number of knockouts in the first round and finished the battle in just 1 minute in the second round. He was the dark horse in the competition. Unlike you, Alex was a true warrior. He never ambushed people in the dark and gathered information about strengths and weaknesses. Peter's nonchalant look completely took a 180 turn when he heard Ghost's words. I did my research after your little visit. People call you the young master. The moment Michael said this, Alicia felt a chill running through her spine. As a guardian, she knew about the mysterious young master. There was a file on the young master in the Guardian Guild. Many nobles who got ambushed and defeated by the young master were looking for his real identity. If Peter was the young master, he was in deep trouble. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. You're tuning into the Carefree Valley YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.